Did you notice the terrifying shadow on the wall? When Cynthia Erivo played Jesus, no one realized she received free punishments for blaspheming God. Cynthia completely subverted the role of Jesus. In the musical Jesus Christ Superstar, Cynthia didn't just reinterpret the role, she completely flipped the image of Jesus. She changed the gender and then stepped onto the crucifixion scene, wearing long razor-sharp nails and oversized glittering earrings that threw off the entire tone. People were confused, but what happened next was genuinely disturbing.
Alright, Flat Earthers, there it is. This old map right here says it all. It says Flat Earth. So we start off right here. You see where it says Circular Antarctica.
Jackson died. When the thing came down and he had the curl and it caught fire and everybody thought they lost pigment in the skin.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you guys. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, that's gonna make us question everything. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Say a word for y'all. Seek the truth.
Body of water.
Mermaids do not just live in the oceans. Let's talk about it. So I've been seeing a lot of people in my recent videos when I talk about the mermaids that was in a dam or in a river in Zimbabwe. And a lot of people was like, well, Zimbabwe is landlocked. How can these mermaids be there? There's no sea. Well, they don't have to just inhabit the sea. Mermaids can live in any natural waters, which includes rivers, lakes, springs, dams. If you want to be honest, I've heard more stories about these mermaids being in the rivers than in the sea, if you want to be honest, especially in these different African countries and Caribbean places. Like in Jamaica, they call them river mama. And a lots of the different stories that I've heard from my followers and just people around and that I've looked into, everyone that I know is always talking about like people getting abducted by the river when they're going to wash their clothes or they're getting water and stuff like that, and the mermaids abduct them. Yeah, they are in the sea, but like I said, mermaids are everywhere. They're in any natural bodies of water. No, they can't be in a man-made lake or a man-made pond or river. Anything that's a natural body of water, they can be in.
Stay weird.
And there's too many stories to not believe this. Like, too many stories around the world.
Never threat.
Man, time travel? Elon, what the hell? Tesla
You
logo.
guys see the protests that are happening in France? Crazy. BlackRock is heavily involved in this Mercosur trade deal. It's a long-planned EU free trade agreement and would create one of the world's largest trading zones covering 780 million people.
Sounds good.
Except it's not.
Why?
Because it will primarily be about agriculture. It takes away all regulations that Europe has strongly held to with pesticides, with all these things that go into foods, like American food. All the farmers of Europe will basically lose their jobs. But so far, only 2 countries have voted yes on it in Europe, and the rest, including Macron, has said no. But all these protests are happening, and all these farmers are literally dumping manure.
Say what you will about the French, they know how to protest.
Dude, they really do. They brought a whole tractor of potatoes and just dumped it in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
And people couldn't drive over a pile of potatoes.
That's hilarious.
And this is where France government goes. So there's multiple layers to why these farmers are protesting. There is this cow disease going around France and other European countries right now. It's literally called lumpy skin disease.
Oh, goodness.
It's like a less than 5% fatality for these cows, and it doesn't spread to humans. France and other European countries, if one cow has this disease, they'll come in and kill all your cows.
Does it affect their meat, I guess?
No, it doesn't.
So they're just taking advantage of the situation.
Yes, but that BlackRock is heavily involved in this agriculture and the cow stuff. So BlackRock, they're buying these companies, so they basically want to be the providers of food for Europe.
Dude, for real. I know that
own
that's
all the
happening.
farmland.
Because it's already happened here. They're already done with us because it's happened.
Yeah.
And
Onto the French!
It's scary, bro. All that
Alright,
control.
Flat Earthers, there it is. This old map right here says it all. Follow now because we're about to show you some craziness that all says flat Earth. So we start off right here. You see where it says circular Antarctica.
Yep.
Which means it circles everything. Like our entire area. Now, here's another cool, crazy thing. When you zoom into the middle here,
It's the core.
Incognito Landia in the middle of our realm. Another interesting one. And then one more I'm going to share with you that I just found. Still doing some research here and getting stuff translated. I'll show you more. But if you go over here where we have Africa, right? Check this out.
Yeah.
What are these places? All these little islands. Looks like this is Artemis. There.
Mm-hmm.
Here.
Chunks of land.
Really, really interesting. Anyways, I thought this was kind of cool and wanted to share it with you as I dive more into this map and this entire book. Lots of maps here to go over. So please, like, follow, and share, and let me know what you think in the comments.
Okay.
Why they telling me, they told me, yeah, J-Man, be careful around Lil Zay, they drinking blood and eating brains. Where did that come from? Where did that whole scenario come from, bro? Break that shit down to me.
Drink blood and eat brains, folks. We started that shit, folks.
Like, what do that mean, bro? Like, don't be starting that shit. Like, what you mean we started that? That's like vampire type shit, gang.
No, I already know it's like vampire type shit, but
is that like that's a real whoop?
That's real deal. You know what I'm saying?
Come on, bro.
That's real deal.
Don't fry my brain.
We drink blood and eat brains.
Wow.
What does it mean when we reach?
Okay, was not expecting that. It's taking me a minute to process that. Tell me down below, man. What do you guys think? I'm gonna need you guys' help with this one.
The point to where we're disguising the towers inside of crosses and churches, placing them over elementary school cafeterias, over high school football fields. In fact, this one has two, disguised as palm trees where you run your errands, in the parking lot of the grocery store where you buy the food you eat, on the side of almost every road and in almost every neighborhood. And the nicer the neighborhood, the nicer the fake tree. Or how about the random fluorescent lighting that's been popping up around cities that apparently requires more than a bulb, pole, fixture, and wiring? I believe this is us slowly consenting to the beast system, which has always revealed itself on the outskirts of the cities and subtly within, because even the double-cross power lines resemble the satanic Leviathan cross. The full Leviathan cross has a Ouroboros, which is a symbol that has surfaced along with many of the tech companies.
Notice, so they just putting in front of our faces.
To add to the apocalypse vibe, I just believe that Africa, yes, the continent, may be splitting apart. A massive crack stretching several kilometers made a sudden appearance in Kenya in 2018 and has been gradually growing ever since. In fact, several cracks in various countries in Africa have opened. But thankfully, this is not a sign the world is ending, because this splitting process has been happening for millions of years. This area sits atop a juncture of three tectonic plates that are very slowly peeling away from each other. And over a period of a few more million years, not only will this movement break Africa apart, but it will create a brand new ocean. There are still some big unknowns, but what scientists do know is that it is splitting at a rate of roughly 7 millimeters annually. And hey, some people consider 7 millimeters to be pretty hefty.
Nah, y'all, this shit right here is crazy because half of the country just lost service at the same damn time. Reports are saying network outages hitting half of the United States right now. I'm talking Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Virginia, and many more. They said whole cities lit up red, showing the outage on the map. They had phones glitching, internet dropping, calls not going through, people apps was freezing, everything. Company like, nah, y'all chill, it was just a internal network issues. But people looking at it sideways like, all these places at the same time? The crazy part is, this shit popped off right when JD Vance went to go meet with officials that was in Denmark, and Greenland. So y'all let me know, is that all just a little coincidence or is something else to it? But we gotta keep it real, y'all. When millions of people experience the same thing at the same time, you gotta start asking questions. Y'all let me know down below in the comments. Did y'all experience this outage? Do you got Verizon? Is your shit still up? Let me know.
Bruce Lee was murdered because he was bringing Eastern spirituality into Western scientism. Like, imagine believing that the most disciplined and supreme martial artist of his time would die from a simple headache tablet. The idea is ludicrous. The official reports claiming that he died from a cerebral edema is only a half-truth. He was poisoned. The odds of him dying from that medication is millions to one, even according to the official narrative. They even went to length to claim that he died from hashish, or cannabis, which has never happened to this day. In reality, it's probably soft disclosure that his cannabis was laced. He was developing too much influence, and he threatened the power structures being put into place. Trouble began to emerge in Hong Kong with the film Enter the Dragon, between Bruce Lee and the Chinese film producers that quote-unquote made him, notably Raymond Chow, who was rumored to be the prime suspect of his death. So the conflict escalated when Bruce Lee accepted the lead role in that film. He was drawn to the way that they portrayed martial arts and the deeper philosophy behind it. He felt called to the US to influence a different outlook of the Eastern world, which he surely has. See, Bruce couldn't be controlled. The triads pressured him to sign exclusive film deals, but he refused. Raymond knew he was losing Bruce to the US studios, thus losing his golden goose. And Bruce was disrupting the power structure of the martial art film industry, and that made him a target. See, he was even planning to create his own film company, using many stuntmen such as Jackie Chan, and that would have eventually dominated both Hollywood and the international box offices. And they couldn't let that happen. So his first collapse would occur in a Hong Kong movie set, likely due to laced hashish, which he used often. And when he went to the hospital, doctors found no cause and gave him a clean bill of health. He then spent months in Hollywood with no issues, but the moment he returned to Hong Kong, he mysteriously dies in the hands of the same producer, Raymond Chow, and Betty Ting. On the day of his death, Betty stated that Bruce wasn't feeling well, so she gave him Equagesic, which is just a combination of meprovimate and aspirin, only for him to never wake up again. So it wasn't just a pill, but a combination of whatever was laced in his cannabis that was fatal. Bruce Lee held many spiritual concepts of self-mastery, free thought, and unlimited human potential that started influencing the Western mindset. But again, they don't want a merging of science, spirit, and mind in a single individual, because if that happens, a person will start asking too many questions they don't want asked. And if you think his death was an accident, what about his son Brandon Lee? One of the only few people in Hollywood history to be shot and killed on a movie set, despite blanks being used. What are the odds that both father and son would die in such highly unusual and improbable ways? The truth is clear. Whatever the true cause was, Bruce Lee's death was no accident, and neither was his son's Brandon. What should be remembered is how Bruce Lee lived his life is far more important than how he lost it.
But they're saying,
Bruce Lee, man, legend. Love Enter the Dragon, bro. Actually, one of my favorite movies of all times, man. He's about to dominate the film industry, bro. Tragic.
that Jake Paul is running around with a lace front beard after Anthony Joshua beat that ass. So a celebrity beautician is saying that one of her colleagues is installing a lace front beard for Jake Paul because of that big ass jaw after Anthony Joshua rocked it. Oh, you don't believe me, right? Look at this shit.
One of my very good friends is a breeder for film and TV, so as you can imagine, she meets a lot of people. I woke up to this text message from her today. Girl, one of my girls just installed a lace front beard on Jake Paul. He's fucked up from that jaw surgery, but doesn't want the public to know. He's paying out the ass for glam.
When I saw the replay of that knockout and I saw his jaw move to a whole different side of his face, I said, that shit broke. Anthony Joshua almost took the whole bottom half of his face off. And how much of titanium they had to put in his mouth for? How many surgeries he had to have on that mouth? Mind you, we already knew something was wrong with that jaw. The last time they was interviewing him, he sounded like he had a bowl of rocks in his mouth. Jake Paul said he got 4 plates in his jaw. No wonder you getting that lace front beard. You don't even recognize yourself no more. No funny shit? I need y'all to go side by side with Jake's picture and this picture right here. That look exactly like the shit Jake got on his face. Just a different color. Well, I'm glad we don't have to take Jake Paul's boxing career serious anymore. Lace front beard Jake. I'm out.
Michael Jackson has been long dead. Michael Jackson died. Listen, everybody don't know this. Michael Jackson died. When the thing came down and he had the curl and it caught fire. And everybody thought he lost pigment in the skin, but he lost his life. And they replaced it with a white one. That's why he came out with the song, "It Don't Matter If You're Black or White." That's what I'm about.
Did you notice the terrifying shadow on the wall? When Cynthia Erivo played Jesus, no one realized she received free punishments for blaspheming God. Cynthia completely subverted the role of Jesus. In the musical Jesus Christ Superstar, Cynthia didn't just reinterpret the role, she completely flipped the image of Jesus. She changed the gender and then stepped onto the crucifixion scene, wearing long razor-sharp nails and oversized glittering earrings that threw off the entire tone. People were confused, but what happened next was genuinely disturbing. First, during the crucifixion moment, Cynthia suddenly went weak, so weak she couldn't stand on her own. Adam had to step in fast to catch her. This wasn't part of the show. You can literally see 2 security guards positioned right behind her, ruining the stage silhouette and clearly there to prevent a real medical emergency. Second, her shadow on the wall changed shape in a way that looked nothing like her real body. Fans slowed down the footage frame by frame, and the outline looked strangely distorted, almost like a warning that mocking something sacred invites something dark. Third, her hands showed something unnatural. People used to joke that her big hands were just long nails creating an illusion. Not this time. When you zoom in, her fingers look like they're actually elongating, thin, stretched, and wrong. At this point, even people who aren't religious are saying this production has crossed way too many lines. Maybe it's time someone stepped in and stopped this performance for good.
They playing in our fucking faces right now. And I'm getting disgusted. There's no way you would think to go this way. No, count me out. Go that way. Where land is. Why drive car where boat go? Why even make road where boat go? Now where is this place, bro? Cause remind me not to never ever travel abroad, because the farther you go, the more spooky it gets. Yes, this is another conspiracy. This is a conspiracy because how the fuck did you build concrete where no ground plug go? How the fuck did you build this to where it's stable enough to handle 40 diesels?
Good question.
5 o'clock traffic in Dallas. That bitch is sinking. I see the traffic light. The traffic is light because, yeah.
At this point, y'all, just stay inside. Just stay inside. Because people don't even know what to believe in anymore. So now we've got different sightings of recordings of what people are calling frogmen in Mexico. Now, I don't know why these things are popping up and appearing in different parts of Mexico, but this is very unusual. My question is, who is recording these things? Steven Spielberg? I mean, this thing has its own lighting and everything. Now, I'm not saying it's not fake, but it seems like the whole internet is eating this thing up. But didn't we just go through this, y'all? Where are they fighting these things? And why is it raining in one spot, but not the others? Look at this.
Good catch.
What do they got going on in Mexico? I mean, what is going on in them deep underground bases? Now, didn't we just go through the same thing with that parasitic plant that fell out of the sky in Peru, and that guy was making it seem like it was a big deal that it came from space, but just created in the lab? All I'm saying is, y'all, there is something big brewing behind the scenes. P. Diddy, parasitic plant, Frogman, Epstein files released, and I feel like there's going to be a lot more coming. In fact, I don't even think we're going to get GTA 6, because this is GTA 6. And what do you think about this video being AI, man? Let me know down in the comments below. The shit this here.
Facts that school never taught you. Part 3. In the late 19th century, if you had a cavity, the dentist would give you cocaine in order for you not to feel it. In the 1950s, doctors would recommend pregnant women to smoke to help alleviate stress and control weight gain. It was also told that smoking increased the chances that you would have a healthy baby. Really glad we don't do that one anymore. In some cultures, toe amputations are needed for people who want to be ballerinas. It's believed that if you have a toe amputation, it would help you be more on point with your big toe, which I guess technically isn't wrong. Christopher Columbus mistook manatees for mermaids. In fact, he made love to a manatee. Now, I know what you're thinking, how would that even work? Well, it worked. In fact, it works so well because manatees have an identical vagina to humans. Do it that way you will. You have an extra 2 inches of pee-pee length that you'll never be able to see. But it still counts, right? Since the 1980s, there are 222,000 unsolved serial killer murders. And that's just in the United States. If that's not scary enough, you will walk past 36 serial killers in your entire lifetime. So make sure you're always watching your back. Make sure to like and follow for tomorrow's video. that will mess
That was a
with
wild
you.
time back then.
Part 3. First American football game was played just 4 years after the Civil War. The last death by firing squad occurred in the U.S. the same year Toy Story 3 came out. Shakespeare was still alive while England was colonizing America. The Roman Empire fell just 40 years before Columbus discovered a new continent. Mozart was in his prime while the United States signed the Declaration of Independence. Before 2016, the Cubs hadn't won a World Series since the Ottoman Empire existed. The first plane crash occurred the same year the Model T came out. Crazy?
Some crazy facts, man. We're learning.
Now Australia is the drunkest country in the entire world, a new study finds. So the global study heard from over 32,000 people from 22 countries. It revealed that Australians on average got drunk 27 times throughout the year, and the global average, bear in mind, is 15. The average Australian got drunk, not tipsy, more than once every 2 weeks, and that's just the average. Australians also tripled the global average on seeking emergency care for their drinking. And in case you were wondering, the top 5 drunkest countries in the world are UK in 5th place, USA in 4th, Finland in 3rd, Denmark in 2nd, and good old Australia in 1st.
I really thought it was gonna be the UK first, because I know UK. There's like, you can drink over there when you like, if I'm not mistaken, like when you're like 16, 17, right, at the pub. So that's shocking. I was not expecting the Australians, man, to be the drunkest country, bro.
Things you didn't know what they were for. 1. The purpose of those little buttons on jeans is called rivets, and they are placed in areas of high wear to prevent the jeans from tearing. 2. The small pocket on jeans was originally designed to hold a pocket watch. It's a 19th century design. 3 dash. The first mark at the bottom of the glass represents approximately 1 shot. The second line is for wine, and the third line is for beer. 4. The shape of beer bottles was designed to encourage people to hold them by the neck, preventing the beer from warming up before finishing it.
Terrifying
Wow.
games you don't want to
Interesting.
play, part 32. You and I. The rules for playing this game are simple, and the rewards for winning can be great, but be warned, if you lose, the penalty will be worse than death. To play the game, you'll need to awaken your mirror twin. All you'll need to do this is a deck of playing cards, a match or fire starter, and a full-size mirror. Once you have acquired these items, you'll need to set up the mirror in a quiet room and wait until midnight. Once the clock strikes 12, you'll need to remove the Joker cards from the deck and burn them in front of the mirror while saying the words, "I know you're there, come out and play." This will awaken your twin, allowing the game to begin. To begin the game, you'll need to deal yourself 10 random playing cards face down. Before you reveal the cards, you'll need to say out loud whether you think there will be more numbered cards or face cards in the hand. If you choose correctly, then for every card you got right, you will gain an extra year of good luck. For example, if you pick face cards, and there are 6 face cards in the hand and 4 numbered cards, you will gain 6 years of good luck. But if you choose wrong, then your evil twin will be released from their prison. They will seek to take over every part of your life, locking you in the mirror in their stead. Comment whether or not you would play this game, and follow for more.
Crazy history facts you didn't learn in school. Part
Won't be playing
6.
that.
Abraham Lincoln is in the Wrestling Hall of Fame. George Washington opened a whiskey distillery. During the Salem witch trials, the accused witches weren't actually burned in the perception of time. Part 3. First American football game was played just 4 years after the Civil War. The last death by firing squad occurred in the U.S. the same year Toy Story 3 came out. Shakespeare was still alive while England was colonizing America. The Roman Empire fell just 40 years before Columbus discovered a new continent. Mozart was in his prime while the United States signed the Declaration of Independence. Before 2016, the Cubs hadn't won a World Series since the Ottoman Empire existed. The first plane crash occurred the same year the Model T came out. Crazy?
That's that Cubs fact, bro. It's crazy.
This weird-looking fish is, but this is why I won't swim in canal.
That, my friend, is a sheep's head. Now you might be wondering why this fish looks like it should still be pissed about the Euro Cup. It's because they use those teeth to grind up shellfish, mussels, and clams, and in some places you can hear them munching away. You can find them in Cape Cod in Massachusetts, through Florida, the Gulf of Mexico, all the way down to Brazil. Also, they have a bad habit of stealing bait from fishermen. Luckily, they're not super aggressive and they don't normally bite people unless you literally ask for it. But with a mouthpiece like that, they don't need to touch you to do damage to your mental. Also, the saltwater sheephead is apparently sweet tasting when cooked, but I wouldn't know because I do not have the strength to try one. Also, they're not the only fish with a dental plane. This is a triggerfish, and like the sheepshead, they look like they only exist because of a drunk dare. But unlike the sheepshead, the triggerfish lives up to its name by being highly aggressive and territorial. And the worst of all is the Titan triggerfish, which is mean enough to send you to bed with more stitches than you woke up with. Now hear me out, but he looks just like...
Oh, what the...
You will believe
roasted
the
Travis Scott.
twist at the end of this story. So during the 1970s, a young couple living in Utah went on their first date. And the two of them were having a good time on this first date, but they could both tell that this wasn't really going anywhere between the two of them. It was pretty awkward between the two of them over the course of their dinner, but they decided to be friendly and just stick it out. It was getting to be pretty late at night, but right before the young couple left the restaurant to go their separate ways, the young man asked the young woman if she wanted to go on a late night hike with him in the Utah mountains. The young woman was kind of taken aback by him asking her to do this, considering the date didn't go too well. But he explained to her that he had gone hiking in those same mountains many times before and that there was nothing to be worried about. And so the young woman decided to agree to go on this hike with her date because she thought, what the heck, maybe this will spice things up. However, when the young couple began their hike in the woods, the two of them felt very off about things. As the two of them went deeper into the forest, things began to feel very eerie around them. Both of their heartbeats began to rapidly speed up, and the two of them kind of both thought to themselves that maybe they should turn back around. But since it was their first date, neither of them wanted to be the one to speak up and say, hey, I think we should go back, so they kept on walking forward. At this point, it was basically completely black in the forest. And then suddenly, the two of them heard some movement coming from some nearby bushes. And it was right at this point when the man stepped on something soft and squishy that was very different from the rest of the trail. And it was right at this point where the two of them just felt like they should get out of there, so they both left. Ironically, this scary experience in the woods led the young couple to become closer, and eventually, a few years later, they got married. 10 years later, the married couple was making breakfast one morning while watching the news. And on the news this particular morning, they were interviewing a serial killer a couple days before he was sentenced to be put to death. And one of the questions that they asked him was if there was ever a time where he was almost caught years before he was actually caught by police. And surprisingly, the murderer said, well, yeah, there actually was this time where I was nearly caught in the woods. He went on to say that about 10 years ago, he was in the mountains of Utah trying to dispose one of his victims in the woods, when all of a sudden a young couple literally walked right into the crime scene. The killer said that the young man in the couple actually stepped on the body of his victim that he was trying to drag away into the woods. However, since it was so dark in the woods, the young couple couldn't really see their surroundings, so they just kind of turned around and left, being spooked. The serial killer that the young couple unknowingly caught in the act was Ted Bundy.
Trust your gut, man. Trust your gut. It will literally save your life. That's what you need to take from that story, Seekers. It's crazy in Utah. Don't they have like a grave digger mountain in Utah, bro? That sounds like you asking for trouble, man.
This is the most disturbing Japanese serial killer that you've never learned about. This is Tasono Miyazaki, and this is his real hand. If his name is hard to pronounce for you, don't worry about it. You can call him his nickname, the Human Dracula. Now, the reason you might not have heard about this case is because the details of this case are so disturbing that Japanese media tried to hide this. From 1988 to 1989, he was convicted of abducting, murdering, and mutilating young girls from the ages of 4 to 7. The way he would do this is he would drive to a local park or maybe even a playground, and he would have a friendly conversation with these young girls so that way they'd be able to trust him. The second they were able to trust him, he would then lure them into his car by saying, hey, I'll give you a ride somewhere. Once the child would get in his car, he would then strangle them and then mutilate their bodies. As if this isn't the worst part, he would collect their hands as trophies, he would grind up their bones into a powder, put it inside of a package, and mail it to the victims' families. The reason he did this is he enjoyed taunting the victims' families by basically saying, you're never gonna catch me. He would also drink their blood and even eat the hands. But boy was he wrong, because in 1989 he was literally caught in the act of trying to pick up a little girl.
He was arrested and put on trial, and he never took accountability for what he did. He had no remorse, and he kept blaming it for his alter ego. He was eventually executed in 2008, and this is why your parents tell you to never trust strangers. There are so many disturbing cases in Japan, but Japan doesn't like people to know about them because they try and keep everything really discreet. They basically don't want the public to freak out about all of these cases, but if you want to know the real deal secrets behind Japan, make sure to hit the like and follow button, and I'll explain them some in the next video. Lost inventions that could have changed the world. In the late 1990s, inventor Jan Slow created the Slow digital coding system. He claimed it could compress an entire multi-gigabyte movie down to a file size of 8 kilobytes. This would have revolutionized the way we store and share data. Slough demonstrated this to executives from Philips by playing 16 movies simultaneously from a single 64 kilobyte chip. And the Philips execs told Slough that he was about to be, quote, the richest man on earth. However, 2 days before the source code was going to be handed over, Slough mysteriously died in his garden of a heart attack on September 11th, 1999. And his decoding software was never recovered.
Nah, that's definitely something fishy, man. Bro was about to freaking change the memory software game forever. And then 2 days later, he has a heart attack. Literally after that guy said, you're about to become the richest man on earth. Something not adding up, man. I think something happened, bro.
The catacombs of Paris don't scare me, but you know what does? The Palermo catacombs. Now the Paris catacombs are filled with bones, but the Palermo catacombs has 1,200 full mummified bodies. Also, I'm showing you these photos for educational purposes, but like if you're squeamish, beware. And this is one of them. Like she literally looks like a sleeping girl. But she's so old. Her name is Rosalia. She's one of the last bodies that was put in the catacombs, and she passed away in 1920 due to the Spanish flu. And look how good of a condition she's in. But this is what I'm talking about. Like, the bodies lining the wall are creepy. And she never really decomposed. Like, she's 60 years old in this, but she literally looks like she's like a sleeping child. I can't show you his face, but a lot of these faces are decomposing, and then a lot of them are really, really lifelike, which is what I find so creepy. If you want, just Google this, and pictures will come up, and you'll get to see the faces. I just can't post them. In 2009, she started getting a little discolored, so they put her in a glass case to preserve her better. And people noticed her eyes opening and closing in the glass case. But people said when her eyes would open, they could see how crystal blue her eyes were. But then when her eyes were closed, you couldn't see this. But this happened because her eyes, like, weren't actually fully closed. So the light would sometimes play tricks. But this is like a thing that happens with the bodies in the catacombs here. Would you visit the Palermo catacombs? Let me know. And follow my TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube for more. It really helps when you interact.
Nah, not me.
Presence some hikers have seen? Apparently, multiple hikers who have been in the same extreme survival situations reported seeing the same ghostly presence. It's known as the third man syndrome, and it's when a supernatural presence appears to give comfort and encouragement to someone. I did a whole episode on it on the podcast, but this is one of the stories that really stood out to me. So in 1983, James Sevigny and his friend Richard were hiking in the Canadian Rockies. They were up part of a mountain when all of a sudden James hears this thunderous roar coming from up the mountain. And as he looks up, there's just thousands of tons of snow pummeling straight towards him.
Avalanche.
Get hit hard, and when James wakes up, he's in bad shape. His body had been tumbled around like socks in a dryer. He had all these broken bones and internal bleeding. And so he thinks this is it. He just lays down and accepts it. But 20 minutes later, he feels this person come up behind him, and he's under the snow, mind you. And this person says, "You can't give up. You have to live." And somehow James crawls out of the snow where he sees two cross-country skiers in the distance, and they come over and rescue him. Richard unfortunately didn't make it, but James lived. Some people attribute this to guardian angels, but what do you think?
We finally have a full trailer for the new horror movie Bring Her Back, an A24 horror movie by the same directors who made Talk to Me a few years ago. I'm pretty excited about this one. Usually I'm a big fan of horror movies where like a ritual goes wrong and then all hell breaks loose. Bring Her Back looks like it'll involve some kind of demonic possession, but we don't really know that much about the plot yet. So let's watch the trailer together and see what the movie could be about.
All right.
realize you coped with gassing your beans on?
I didn't.
What's she's doing? Or maybe she's trying to do a ritual.
Your new sister and brother, Oliver. Oliver lost his family just like you guys. Needed someone to give you special care. Listen, I've got to tell you a secret.
That white ring for?
Listen. Some people believe the spirit stays in the body for months after death. We can bring her back.
Okay.
This is the most inbred family in America. These are the Whitakers, and they're from a town called Odd in West Virginia. It's really sad. They don't have contact with the outside world, so they'll bark and grunt in order to communicate. Here's how all of this happened. Henry and John are twins. Henry has a son named John, and John has a daughter named Gracie. Gracie and John are cousins. They then get married and have 15 kids. Also, Gracie's parents were cousins. Photographer named Mark Leda met the family in 2004, and here's what he had to say.
But we were in West Virginia just driving around looking for anybody interesting to photograph. And this windy road turns into like a gravel road, and then turns into a dirt road. And there's shacks. Every once in a while you see a house. Like somebody lives there. Very poor. There's a shack on the left. There's a trailer on the right. A small trailer. And there's about 10 or 12 people just walking around. And it's like everyone you look at, it's like their eyeballs are going this way. And not a single tooth among them. Not a single tooth in any of their heads. And they look at us and we look at them and they start yapping and screaming and barking. And yeah, some of them are just staring at us and drooling.
He raised a lot of money to help them with these pictures and videos of the family. He's friends with them and he takes them shopping, and he and the police check up on them every once in a while to make sure they're doing okay. If you like my content, follow my TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube for more. It really helps when you interact.
Crazy story about how we found them.
Let me get a pair of twins. All right? They're born the same time, they're the same age. And now one of them I will send off at 90% the speed of light. And the other I'll keep down here on Earth. So we can ask, how does their aging rates compare? Okay? Turns out, this twin that I've already sent, his clock ticks 44% as fast as this twin's clock. Our clock here on Earth. So, this twin is aging more slowly than this one. That's at 90% the speed of light. Let's pump it up some more. How about 99% the speed of light? Now the time ticks at only 14% the rate, as it does back here on Earth. How about 99.9%? We're getting closer and closer to the speed of light itself. And at that speed, the clock ticks only 4.5% as fast. So, what does this mean? Tell you what it means. This twin that traveled for 5 years and comes back, if they went at 99.9% the speed of light, after 5 years,
how old?
They're 5 years older.
Wow.
We have aged 110 years.
Damn, what the?
It's called the twin paradox.
Okay, some creepy facts. We're locking in, bro. Not
if
I.
you want to keep that thing as a pet, be my guest. But first, there's some things you should know. Meet the fang-toothed moray eel. It's basically a fully carnivorous sea serpent with a mouthful of broken glass. Not to mention, they have a 900-pound bite force to go along with those daggers. Oh, and their teeth? Yeah, they face backwards. That way, when they grab a hold of their prey, it ain't going nowhere. And And this is where things get weird. Inside their throat, they have a second set of jaws with a second set of teeth. And these jaws can protrude forward to help grab the prey and pull it down its throat. Come to think of it, that sounds really familiar. Anyways, what makes it even worse is they have absolutely no predators. And that's because they have this really thick slime substance inside their body. So if anything were to bite into them, they would just get a mouthful of slime, which will cause them to choke and retire from taking in oxygen. At this point, Mother Nature's just picking favorites. Moral of the story? I don't think that swimming doctor's office would make a very good friend. Maybe leave it there. And as always, follow for more facts.
This is
Thanks for letting us know.
Story part 25. Warning. This is not a joke. The information that's going to be shared is dangerous and life-threatening. Do not, under any circumstance, commit the actions that will be narrated. This is the world's most dangerous book ever. Shams al-Ma'arif. This book was written by Ahmad al-Buni in the 17th century. But technically, the author of this book is not a human being. I never did and will never read this book. And this is your second warning. Do not read this book. Ahmad al-Buni practiced black magic, and he was in contact with the most powerful jinns and demons before he passed away. The jinns were the authors of this book. The elder generations, like our moms and dads, have heard about this book, and they were warned by it. There are thousands of horrifying stories of people who read this book. Shams al-Ma'arif explains everything about black magic, how to get in touch with the world of jinns, how to marry a jinn, and the sacrifices you have to do for the devil, and much more. Unfortunately, this book can be easily found online. One day, a Saudi Arabian man that read hundreds of books for a living decided to read this book specifically out of interest and love for all books, without fearing the consequences behind it. He reached the chapter that teaches readers how to get married to a female jinn. He laughed about it. He tried the ritual to experiment it. The first night, after finishing the whole book and completing the marriage ritual, he felt someone breathing next to his face. And on the second night, he felt a hand touching his feet. And on the third night, he heard her voice. The man was officially locked in a marriage with a demon. 5 years go by. He met a normal, beautiful woman that he fell in love with, and they both decided to get married a week before the wedding day. The bride, the bride's parents, and the groom's parents all passed and died in 3 different car crashes. These are the consequences behind this book, and it's also known from many stories of people that have died from reading the first few pages. If you don't finish reading the book, you will get killed. All my stories, all of them, are true incidents that happened one time only. But this book is a product that is permanently available online. I beg you, do not go anywhere.
A tornado of 1974 that showed the dark side of nature. April 3rd, 1974 started as an unusually hot and nice day for that time of year in Xenia, Ohio. People were out and about enjoying the day. Some people were laying out in their yard getting sunshine, which is what one survivor was doing that we'll talk about in a minute. But most people had no idea of the weather that was heading their way. It wasn't until about 3:30 that dark clouds started rolling in, and many of the survivors described the sky turning green. So one survivor, his name was Michael. He was about 15 years old and had just gotten out of school around 3:30. So he probably made it home a little before 4. His mom was still at work. She worked in downtown on Main Street in Xenia. And I feel like we all know that feeling of getting home from school, you have the house to yourself, maybe make a snack, put on your favorite TV shows. That's basically what was happening. The weather was picking up outside, but he wasn't really concerned at the moment until the TV was interrupted, which was very rare back then. And also there was no tornado warnings back then in that town at the time. But the TV interruption was of a guy, I think a meteorologist named Gil Whitney, saying that there was an unprecedented tornado breakout in other states near Ohio, which was the super breakout of 1974. Hundreds of tornadoes started breaking out across 13 states, destroying thousands of homes, killing hundreds of people. So at around 4 p.m., the first TV interruption happened in Xenia, saying that the outbreak is happening nearby and that Ohio might get some of the tornadoes, but not Xenia specifically. And then about 15 minutes later, a second interruption happened on the TV, and I'm sure he started freaking out at that point, but they were saying like Xenia could be in the projected path of some tornadoes, but nothing saying that there is one yet. And then at 4:30 another TV interruption happens, but this time they're saying take cover, a giant tornado is barreling towards Xenia right now. So Michael calls up his mom at work, and she actually answers and says that she's aware of the situation and that the weather is starting to pick up and get really bad. And then all of a sudden she's like, oh my god, it's here, and then the line goes dead. So that obviously freaked him out, and he realized how bad the situation really was, and decided to jump in the car and go look for her, which may have not been the best idea, but he did survive, so. But according to him, as he started making his way towards downtown, there was just so much debris that he had to keep finding different roads. As he got closer, he just realizes how bad it really was, and to the point where he had to jump out of his car and just start running because there was so much debris, and even like climb over the derailed train. 3 different tornadoes had combined into one giant tornado that was a half a mile wide, then headed straight for Xenia. And we'll pick this story back up in part 2, so if you guys are ready for that, let me know.
Sounds crazy, but they said the whole sky turned green? What was going on? First time hearing about it, I guess a tornado doing that. I'm gonna have to check that out.
You know, at night when you have to turn the lights off in your house and you get to that last light and you switch it off and it's completely dark, and it feels like all of a sudden your house has now become the most haunted house in the world, and you have to make a run all the way back to your bedroom. There might be something to that. Now, when we are doing this, right, we put ourselves in a vulnerable position. And I think anything negative, any kind of spirit that is a negative entity knows this. This is the best time to scare us. And they're trying to see if they could scare us just a little bit to gain entry and to allow them permission to come into our lives. So this is a story I heard out of Rockford, Illinois. There was this girl, and she lived in this bigger house all alone. And it started to get late. She wanted to go to bed. So she starts going through her house, turning off all the lights. She gets to the last light, which is in the living room. And when she hits it off, and it goes completely dark, she gets that feeling. Well, she walks through her living room, and as she walks past her kitchen, she turns and kind of glances in, and she sees a woman, like in a white gown, just standing in the kitchen. And she's like, "Who are you? What do you want?" And the woman just starts walking towards her. So she takes off running to her bedroom.
Smart.
She closes her door, locks it, and she calls the police. The police show up, and she says, you know, come inside, like there's a woman in my house. I'm in my bedroom, locked in there, I don't want to come out. So they go through her house, they search it, they don't find anyone. And they said, ma'am, are you sure you didn't just see something? Like, you know, are you just tired? Maybe it was like a hallucination. And she goes, no, I'm for sure there was a woman in my kitchen. So they said, well, we can't find anything. You probably are just tired. Why don't you just go to bed? So they leave, and she goes back up to her bedroom. And when she lays down in bed, she kind of feels like, you know what, maybe that was just, you know, in my head. Maybe I'm just tired and I need to get some sleep.
Okay.
So as she turns around to adjust herself in the bed, there's the woman standing right next to her. And she jumps up, she runs out of her house, and she said as she's in the front of her house, she can see the woman looking out of her window, staring at her.
A woman gave birth in a Waymo car on the way to a hospital in San Francisco. The former Olympic snowboarder Ryan Wedding was officially added to the FBI's top 10 most wanted list for reasons I will not say in this video. A businessman from Dubai just bought his wife a $50 million private island. His reasoning for this, he said, was so that she can swim comfortably. Intimacy and activity has doubled in young adults between the age of 18 and 29 in the last 14 years. In 2010, it was 12% of that age group that had not had intimacy in the last year, and now that age group today is 24%. Booking.com canceled a woman's $4,000 hotel reservation, then offered the same rooms for $17,000. Americans are hoarding our phones longer than ever, and it's apparently costing the economy. A U.S. judge resigned after being disciplined multiple times for wearing an Elvis wig in the courtroom.
Are tweakers just paid government actors? Watch this.
Nice shirt. You got a cigarette?
Whoa.
Switch up.
Hold on, man. You became real normal the second I started talking fist bump. I don't have anything, I promise you. But hey, nice shirt. Holy shit, they're paid actors. They're paid actors. They choose to tweak. He chose. He just, hey, man, you gotta figure it out. Holy fuck.
They weird.
They're normal.
Paid
So
actors, bro.
heard what's going on in Pacific Washington. Parts of it are completely underwater. And the reasoning for it all is because they're saying that the levees have broken, and they are currently at a level 3 evacuation. And one of the levees that broke is the one that holds the White River. There are homes that are flooded. There are vehicles that are flooded. There are even parts where the water, as you can see here, are completely covering the vehicles. As a matter of fact, take a look at this. Just have a look at that right there. How intense that water is.
It's insane, bro.
This is insane.
It's just gushing.
This is just crazy. Exactly. Prayers up to Washington. And the scary part is there are people in boats that are riding around through their own neighborhoods. As you can see here, evacuations are underway in Washington following life-threatening flash floods. So if you are anywhere near this and you can hear me or you can hear the warnings, it's time to get out. So once again, this is a life-threatening situation in Pacific Washington. So if you know people out of there and you could communicate with them if you haven't heard from loved ones or friends, tell them it's time to go and get out. Prayers up to everyone affected by this, and may they all make it out safe and sound. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments, and as always, I'd love to hear from you.
Thanks for the
I
update.
know I'm not the only one who was in those MySpace chat rooms or like the AOL chat rooms when I was like 8 years old. Like, I know I'm not the only one, but it was like an 18-plus-year-old chat. And so they were talking about some crazy things, and I'm sitting there 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, looking at these things. I'm like, first of all, I was like kind of oblivious. So like some things they would say I didn't understand, but like something like the curse words and then talking about certain things, like I was like, yo, this is insane to me. But if you guys have ever been in those AOL chats or the MySpace chats, or even like those weird chats that were just like kind of dark webbish type chats, you understand. At a young age, those chats are so strange. The people in there are even stranger. But I want to ask, where are y'all today? Like, not the people who are my age, but like the older people. Where are y'all today? Like, did y'all know that y'all were talking to a bunch of like 8, 9, 10, 11-year-olds in those chats? Like, I was like 10 years old, gang, and y'all were talking to me like weird. And hey, the police, the police.
Breaking news
no
all over
idea,
the world.
bro.
This is your final warning. If you still don't know what's going on, you're definitely going to want to watch this. In just over 24 hours time, it's arriving. And yeah, are we cooked? I don't know. Everybody knows about this object, 3i Atlas, which they've said is just a meteor. This is where it is at the moment. It's going to be passing Earth here tomorrow, December 19th. As I said before, there's a lot of these weird clickbait videos coming out. Like, obviously, that ain't real. But what is real is that the thing definitely is strange. Whether it's a comet or a piece of ice or whatever they're saying it could be out in space, it is definitely strange. from moving in a completely unique way to doing things that comets and meteors don't tend to do. But there has also been a lot of very high up officials, researchers, people that used to work at NASA coming out saying this thing definitely isn't that and is definitely something that is, from another planet. Whether you believe it's from another planet or you don't, it's still very strange, and tomorrow it will be passing by Earth. I highly, highly doubt it's going to be anything bad, and I don't think we're going to be getting 6'7" aliens walking on Earth tomorrow. But it is going to be very close, and we are actually going to get photos of it. NASA and other people have come out and said, yes, it probably is a meteor, we're pretty certain it is, but we can't officially confirm 100% until it's very close. As I say, it's portraying patterns of things that are very unusual and not really seen before. So stay tuned, I'll keep you posted.
That's why your birth order actually really matters. So the following is part 1 of a 4-part series determining which is the superior sibling. Starting with firstborns, a study in 2015 found that they tend to have the highest IQs out of all of the siblings. And not only that, but a separate study found that the firstborns were also most likely to have jobs that paid $100,000 or more. The psychologist at Temple Uni offered a potential reason for this, saying many parents spend more time reading and explaining things to their firstborns, which could explain why they also tend to get better grades. However, Frank continued by saying firstborns are also generally subject to stricter rules and are more likely to face harsher consequences for wrongdoing than their younger siblings. And as the youngest sibling myself, I reject this. A Swedish study concluded that generally firstborns are more emotionally stable, persistent, socially outgoing, willing to assume responsibility, and take initiative. And how this all translates to careers, they are more likely to be managers and be in occupations requiring more leadership ability. And interestingly, 91% of US astronauts, 53% of US presidents, and 80% of students at Harvard are either firstborn or only children. Okay, how about we talk about some of their flaws? Researchers found that the most bossy out of all birth orders and genders are firstborn females. You bitch. Firstborns are also most likely to be overweight, obese, and to have high blood pressure. So take your money and your success because you're dying early anyway. Part 2 is coming tomorrow, and we're looking at you next, middle children.
So Diddy clocked Ray J cheeks. It's not coming from me. This coming from him. Ray J said it himself. And he didn't even know he was getting recorded from his girl. And the fact that he said it in front of his girl is wild. Y'all, listen to this shit. Asshole been open more than this man ever in my life. What should I say? I have to say everybody here, bro. Everybody, you got one. But bro, my shit run. Kitty took my ass. You can't hold it no more. My shit been running ever since. My asshole been open more than this man ever in my life. Well, hold up, y'all. It get worse. Out of fart, my shit come out. It's crazy.
What you gotta say? Next time you step behind the gate, just say, Diddy made you, what'd you say, Diddy?
What you recording me? His girl tried to make it into a joke. That man was dead ass serious. And the fact that he said Diddy took it, I think Ray J just gave that shit up. He been trying to tell us for the last couple of months. Y'all remember, he was on the Mafia-thon 3. And he was doing the wildest shit. That shit wild, fool. You cannot go back and be like, oh, I was joking. Nah, nigga, you don't say no shit like that, fool. You don't even play like that. It's gonna get crazy because now you gonna have to have Diddy out his own mouth say, nah, I didn't take Ray J.
I know some funny shit when I see it. So you telling me that FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino is just stepping down from his position for no reason? This man is the acting director of the FBI. What has he seen? What rubbed this man the wrong way that made him say, you know what? I don't want this position anymore. And to add insult to injury, they're just playing it like, my question is this. He's going back to this podcast. What is Dan Bongino going to talk about when he gets back to this podcast? Because having a position like that, he had to sign some sort of non-disclosure agreement. What I say is this. That's a hard job to have. There comes a lot of pressure with it. And maybe Dan was asked to do something. Well, maybe Dan couldn't do the job they wanted him to do. Y'all better pay attention. I'm out.
What do you think? Why is he stepping down? He was making some valid points, though. He probably sounds something, so even if he goes back to his podcast, he can't never talk about it because that's a really high security job. Lots of secrets going around, a lot of information regular people can't have. Some theories, man. Turning into my head, bro.
If the world went to nuclear warfare, the world basically would be destroyed in like 7 minutes. Wow.
Wow. You know what I'm more scared of than being blown up by a bomb?
What?
Surviving.
Surviving said bomb.
And living through nuclear winter.
I'd rather be like than like outside of the blast zone.
Well, you remember the story? You ever heard the story about Jim Carrey when he was in Hawaii? They had the alarm codes went off, like the texts and stuff, that said basically you have 11 minutes. There's a nuclear bomb headed toward Hawaii. Take cover. It's gone. Like Hawaii is gonna be gone off the map.
Take cover.
Yeah, like do whatever you have to do. Say it. And so I think he called his like manager that was like there in Hawaii, and he just put his phone down and he just sat on the beach and he just waited. And he said there was like this peace and joy that came over him.
Wow.
Has not left him.
I guess my question is, what movie did he do after that? I feel like that would just really impact me and change.
It was Sonic the Hedgehog. he was like, you know what? It's time to start making movies that matter.
Gordon Ramsay just posted a cryptic message to his socials that's a little concerning. Geoguessers like Rainbolt have all but confirmed that the view outside of his window is a runway right beside Area 51, with flight attendant Leisha even mentioning she was on that same flight with Gordon himself, which landed in the middle of the desert in Nevada, exactly where Area 51 is supposed to be. But I noticed a little something that no one else brought up. By now, everyone's seen this weird little pan sitting in his cup holder. And it's tiny, way too small to be used by any regular human, so what is this for? I zoomed in closer, applied some light filters, and noticed a pattern of hexagons all over it. I mean, clearly this is just his cookware brand, Hexclad, right? But oh, it goes much deeper than that. Because I came across this leaked classified document featuring the exact same hexagonal pattern, which also claims we never made this technology. We recovered it from UFOs, non-human metallics. This all came out in 2016. Coincidentally, the same year Hexclad introduced this technology to the world. Whatever's going on here, the questions still stand. Who or what is this tiny pan for, and has Gordon really been working with classified alien technology this entire time?
I'm gonna say no, but I don't think Gordon Ramsay went to Area 51, bro. I still remember that whole trend when people said it was gonna like Naruto run storm the freaking Area 51, bro. You knew that was not about to go down, bro. I don't think we're ever gonna find out in our lifetime, man, what's in Area 51.
Was used a Mandela effect to sell their pizza.
This is Domino's new stuffed crust pizza.
We asked people who said they've had Domino's stuffed crust pizza before to compare it to our new stuffed crust.
That's better than the one they have currently.
Do you remember Domino's stuffed crust? Yeah. That's Little Caesars, no? No. It's like every single pizza place. Yeah, I know. Except Domino's. So the commercial is like, you remember getting the Domino's stuffed crust, right? Oh yeah, I love Domino's stuffed crust. Yeah. That's one of my favorites. They open the box. Oh, go ahead, take a slice. Yeah. The box is empty. Like, huh?
That's the Domino's stuffed crust you said you've had before.
What is going on?
Domino's has never made a stuffed crust pizza before.
Really? Are you serious?
Oh, we're serious.
Oh, never had that and he goes, but we do now. What? Domino's stuffed crust out right now.
This 3-year-old boy fell into a gorilla enclosure at a zoo. In 1996, a 3-year-old boy slipped through a barrier at the Brookfield Zoo in Illinois and plunged 20 feet into the gorilla enclosure, suffering a broken hand and a deep gash to his face. As he lay unconscious on the concrete floor, 7 gorillas were roaming the habitat, any one of them capable of seriously harming him. But instead, something extraordinary happened. A female gorilla named Binti, who was carrying her own 17-month-old baby on her back, approached the child gently. Instead of aggression, she showed calm, almost human-like concern. Binti carefully lifted the boy, cradling him in her arms and shooting him from the other gorillas. Then, in a stunning act of understanding, she carried him to the door used by zookeepers and waited, watching over him until staff could safely retrieve him. The child spent 4 days in the hospital recovering, but he survived, thanks almost entirely to Binti's protective instincts. Her actions made international headlines, and the gorilla received worldwide praise, gifts, and recognition.
The theory that Mary Poppins and It are the same kind of creature. Both characters follow the exact same rule. They only come out every few decades. They arrive when children are vulnerable. They shapeshift, they float, they break all sorts of laws of physics. And they both kind of feed on emotions if you really think about it. Like Pennywise devours fear, and Mary Poppins feeds on imagination and joy. And the wildest part is that they both come back when the wind changes. It's literally the same trigger. Stephen King's universe, Pennywise is
referred to as a glamour, which is an interdimensional creature that disguises itself to manipulate kids. And that's when people notice that Mary Poppins does the same exact thing, except it has this like wholesome disguise to it. She shows up out of the sky, she knows everything about these kids and the family instantly, bends reality, controls the environment, and she even has that creepy calm smile when she watches chaos unfold around her. Some people even say that the chalk walk sequence, the talking animals, the time jump, those aren't imagination. Those are different dimensions that she's pulling the children into. So yeah, Mary Poppins might not be a nanny. She might be Pennywise's sweet little cousin. And when you watch the movie from that lens, it low-key becomes a horror film. Let me know what you think and follow for more freaky.
What do you think? There's a theory that said that showering is actually bad for you.
No, I don't.
Even celebrities like Brad Pitt, Mila Kunis, Shia LaBeouf, and Johnny Depp, they don't shower every day because they feel it's actually bad for their skin. So, you know, everybody showers. Like research has shown that everyone showers at least once a day, and sometimes even twice a day. But what if I told you that showering is actually bad for you? According to dermatologist Dr. Zeichner, found that showering with hot water actually removes a lot of good bacteria on your body, and the good bacteria actually help prevent disease and infection. And it's also found that hot water will dry out our bodies, and it creates little cracks in our skin that leads to infection in our body. And it's found that showering every day can actually lead to rashes, allergies, and eczema. And get this, even Dr. George Moncrief has not showered in 20 years with soap because he said the ingredients that are used in soaps actually do more damage to our skin than help us. So some doctors say that showering once every 2 to 3 days is okay.
Secrets, bro. Who started this? I remember, like, I have all these freaking celebrities coming out saying that they don't shower, bro. People was like, yeah, I do the same thing too, bro. Come on, man. Please don't be like one of them, bro. Hop in that shower, bro. It's not gonna hurt you. Trust me.
Son of a bitch. Oh, we got your ass. We've got your ass now. So this is why we took away all the bells before we were gonna find out. Reptilian. I'm a slew of reptilian. How many have I slewed? More than 1 million. You see, the giant bells could not only emit healing frequencies, but could also produce specific vibrations that would repel demonic beings and counter the shape-shifting abilities of the reptilians. Oh, you son of a bitch. So you see, there is power in sound. There is power in frequency and vibration. This is why they don't want you to know anything. This is why they don't want you to play instruments. So I want everybody to put this on their to-do list. I want you to go out there and search for as many bells as you can find. And if you can't find any bells, I want you to find out how to make them and who's making them. Bullet Slayers assemble. Bullet Slaying business. Join me on the front line.
On those bells, bro.
What the fuck is that?
It's a UFO, bro.
What the fuck is that?
Oh, these oars, man. We're always catching them, bro. It looked like a teleporter for a minute, man.
That's a grid.
That's a dome.
Anything like that in my life? It's gone. Just like that.
Might take Air 51, bro. My best guess.
Because I can't see it. It's about, oh, there he is. Oh my God, the aliens have attacked. What is that? What is this ring? It's just floating in the sky. This is some crazy stuff. What is going on?
Dark ring theory?
Girl, and it's just sitting there.
That's right. Isn't it weird?
Oh my gosh. Look at that.
Hold on, y'all. Why is the Persian Gulf River in Iran turning crimson blood red? Am I tripping? Or didn't we already see this, y'all?
We did.
I could have sworn this happened last year and the year before. Am I tripping? Like, I could have sworn I've already seen something like this, but the people in the comments are acting like this is brand new. Like they have never seen this before, and they're saying Jesus is coming and all this type of stuff. Get ready. And then they're talking about the new moon, and even people in Iran are acting like this is brand new. So now I gotta ask this question. Are we in some kind of time loop? Like, for real, do you think social media is playing a part in looping this over and over again, like Groundhog Day? So what if social media just don't show reality? What if it helps reset it? What if social media helps us stay in a specific mindset? Isn't that the reason why it's called an experiment and the big people are watching what's happening to us and what we're doing and they're collecting information from us, y'all? This is crazy. But yeah, y'all, I could have sworn this thing already happened. Let me know that in the comments below, y'all. Am I tripping or is everybody else tripping? But nonetheless, y'all, this is crazy. Let's get it. Peace out.
This person who he thought was a woman. In 2023, this 26-year-old Indonesian man named AK met Adinda Kansa on Instagram, where they hit it off and eventually met in person and started their relationship. Throughout their relationship, Adinda wore a hijab that covered her head, her face, except for her eyes because of her religion. A year later, they got married and had a very small ceremony with only AK's family attending, and Adinda's family was not there because she said that her entire family had passed away. After they tied the knot, AK became extremely suspicious of his new wife because she constantly avoided any intimacy and was always making excuses. But also, AK said that Adinda was wearing her hijab at home at all times, so at this point he knew that she was hiding something. He then began searching for any information he could find on his wife, and that's when he found her old address, and when he went to go visit that home, he found her parents, which she said were dead. The parents told AK that Adinda is actually a man, and they had no idea that they got married. Adinda was arrested, and after an investigation was done, it was determined that he intended to marry AK so that he can steal his family's assets. Adinda was charged with fraud, and if convicted, he faces up to 4 years in prison. Whatever you
guys think that should be the fate for all catfishes out there, man? Because that's basically what it was. We're going to call a spade for a spade. That was a catfish. Like, how the hell, but how did he let it go that far, man? He got married to him and he didn't even know? That's mind-blowing, man. If you're going on with somebody, man, you got to do your research nowadays. That's crazy.
You never go searching for this video. These 5 friends were forced to kill each other by the Mexican cartel. These 5 young, aged from 19 to 22, were looking for some sort of employment, and they were promised a high-paying job at a call center. But when the alleged contact was taking them to meet the people for the job, it actually turned out to be a whole scheme to recruit them to the Mexican cartel. And when all 5 of these boys said they didn't want to join, the cartel then said okay and tied them up, taped their mouth and took a picture, and then recorded one of the friends killing all the other 4 friends. And after that, they put the 5th one, who just killed all of his friends, into a car and set it on fire. I am telling you right now, do not go searching for this video because you will find it. And trust me, you do not want to see something like this. This case is absolutely horrific, and the fact that this happens way more often than we think is just extremely scary and disturbing. It's just sad that these young men were just trying to get a job and make some money for themselves. But instead, it turned into a living nightmare. Rest in peace, these 5 young men.
Here's one more reason to be terrified of the ocean. Of course, it's scary when the sea is stormy, but according to Japanese legend, you should be more afraid of calm waters. Because that is when the umibozu is said to rise from the deep. This ghostly, pitch-black figure will not only scare you into a state of shock, but it will then throw you overboard and drown you in the sea.
It is criminal that no one knows what this guy is doing right now. A man is attempting to become the first person ever to walk the entire length of the United States barefoot. He started his over 5,000 kilometer walk in February, and as you'd imagine, his feet have already taken an absolute battering. He's already had to walk through snow, which he says was so cold that it makes every pebble feel like you're walking over a Lego brick. But if the cold wasn't bad enough, he will soon have to walk through the Midwestern summer heat, which will easily reach temperatures of over 100 degrees. And because of that, similar to Russ Cook running through the Sahara, he says that he's going to have to walk overnight because during the day, the paving will just be too hot. He's almost been hit multiple times by massive semi-trucks not paying attention and pushing him off the road. The nerve endings on his feet are so bruised from stepping on rocks that it keeps him up at night. He's had really bad infections that haven't had enough time to heal, because if he does take days off and doesn't make it to New York before the winter, he is screwed. And the part which just blows my mind, he's doing all of this to raise awareness for men's mental health. Despite this amazing cause and what he's putting himself through, he has only 139 followers on TikTok and only 412 on YouTube. I mean, that should be illegal. He's got about 6 months of walking left to do. So please, let's show this man some support and push him through.
That's crazy, man. He's doing that for a good cause, and hopefully, man, just catches some fire, catches some heat, so more people are aware of that. Barefoot, too? That's a different type of breed right there, man.
Have you heard the creepy story behind this photo?
What?
She's been named the Expressionless. Well, the story takes place in June of 1972. Hospital employees were very shocked and scared when this woman entered the hospital wearing a blood-soaked gown. What was terrifying is that she had no emotion on her face. When the doctors went to sedate her to see what was wrong, she started to fight back. This is her in that very moment. Now, this is a creepypasta, but some believe that this photo is actually true and that this is a real creepy-ass woman. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Photos from his...
This is a real sign in a city called Davao in the Philippines, and there's a lot of history behind it. Now, as you can see in the sign, it says, "Waving children, please wave back," with a pair of children with their arms up. This sign serves as a warning to everyone passing by that there are ghosts of children in the area. It's believed there's a ton of supernatural activity all around the area, and if you don't wave back, these children will come and haunt you. Upon researching the story, I haven't found anyone reporting that they haven't waved back to any of the children. I've only heard accounts of people waving back and then being okay afterwards. So with that information in my head, I can only assume the worst happens if you don't wave back. So obviously, if you're traveling in the Philippines and you see a child wave to you, wave back for your own safety. The last thing you want is a ghost child following you and haunting you for the rest of your life. Let me know what you guys think about this. I also covered a video on the Aswang, which is another Filipino urban legend. Very scary stuff, definitely go check that out. And if you have any suggestions, let me know.
You guys waving back, man? I wouldn't want no ghosts, no spirits, bad energy, juju following me, so I'll have to wave back. I don't need that following me around.
This is a true horrifying story, part 32. In parts 25, 26, and 27, I warned you all about the most dangerous book that was ever written, Shams al-Ma'arif. This book is a portal to the world of jinns and demons. There's a person that read this book, and this person faces traumatic incidents every single day. She's a woman from Jordan. She graduated university being the top graded student. She is a genius. She has read hundreds of novels. She had a strong passion for books. She heard about this book called Shams al-Ma'arif. She couldn't live knowing that there's a book that has a strong story behind it without reading it. After many months of trying to find the real copy of this book, she heard about an old man that lives in Jordan that had an ancient copy of Shams al-Ma'arif. She got in touch with him, and he refused to sell the book, but she didn't quit. It took her many weeks to finally buy the book off of him. She goes back home and immediately starts reading the book. After she read the first few chapters of the book, she felt kind of hungry, so she decided to go to the kitchen and prepare some food and then continue reading. As she goes into the kitchen, she opens the oven and a gale of fire burns her face. She spent 3 weeks in the burn unit rehabilitation. The oven was switched off. No one knows till this day where the flames came from. She had multiple plastic surgeries to recover her facial features, but till this day, her face is not what it used to be. After recovery, she goes home weeks later and she looks for the book, knowing that the jinn was the reason she was harmed. She tried to find the book for many days, but it was lost. Years go by. She was home watching TV one day. She came across an Islamic channel that had a live interview program. An old man was being interviewed on this channel. He was asked by the imams about the dangers of a black magic book that he owns. His body was very unusual and his face was burned off. He got a book from under the table and he said this: "I once sold this book to a young woman a long time ago, and the demons warned me not to stop my rituals, and if I gave the book away, they would burn my face and they would burn hers. And after I gave the book, I woke up the next day without my normal face. And the book I sold to that woman was right there laying next to me on bed. I knew that it was the jinns that brought the book back to me. And this is when I strengthened my iman and I quit black magic." Quote, this was all said on TV, and the poor girl was just standing there, watching the same man speak. The man on TV was the man that gave her the book. The book he showed on TV was the book he handed to her. That was the book that was lost. The book that she was looking for.
Damn, it sounded like she got tempted by that knowledge. She just couldn't turn it down. Look what happened. Like some bad spirits was following her. Like the book, the part I'm trying to figure out is how the book, like it just went back to the man's house. Did he take it back or was it just there the next day? That's something to think about.
This is Tragedy by the Sea, one of the most disturbing and sad photos of all time. Okay, so first glance at this photo, you just think it's a couple arguing at the beach, right? But believe it or not, this photo might have the most unsettling and disturbing backstory ever. On the morning of April 2nd, 1954, a Los Angeles Times photographer named John Gaunt, who was pictured in the middle of this photo, was relaxing on his front yard of his beachfront house when he heard a neighbor shout, "Something's happening on the beach." He then instinctively grabbed his camera and rushed over to see the horrified couple clutching each other on the beach. On the shore stood a young couple named Mr. and Mrs. McDonald, and their body language made John's stomach turn. He realized that someone must be lost, and he then took a photograph from 200 yards away. Only then did he learn that just moments before, the couple's 19-month-old son Michael, who had been playing in the yard, had wandered down to the beach and crawled into the violent waters while they weren't looking. Despite the back and forth efforts by the parents, there was nothing they can do but just wait. Unfortunately, later that day, the child's dead body was washed up about a mile away on the beach. And this photo, titled Tragedy by the Sea, appeared on the front page of the Times the very next day. John Gaunt then won the 1955 Pulitzer Prize Award, calling the photo poignant and profoundly moving. But he also received heavy criticism for capitalizing on the family's tragedy for his photo opportunity. But now, take a look at this photo, knowing everything you do, and tell me it's not one of the saddest and most disturbing photos ever.
Let's talk about this picture. Captured in 2008 by Daniel Young, this is one of the only pieces of evidence that this encounter actually happened. So Daniel was a custodian at Myrtle Elementary School where he worked the night shift. It's a pretty routine night. He's just listening to music when he's suddenly interrupted by the sound of a woman's laughter. He turned around and was terrified when he saw an unknown woman smiling from behind the corner. This was a locked school on after hours, so clearly she was an adult who broke in, so he tried to snap a picture to identify her and then chases after her. But when he turned the corner, she had already darted out of an emergency exit. Later that night, police are called to a home where they arrive at a tragedy. An unknown woman had broken into a nearby home where she knifed two parents, one who was the principal of this school, so brutally they were unrecognizable. One of the daughters who witnessed this woman before she got away described her as this person. Could this photo be of the same unknown woman? And what her connection is to the school and the principal, we don't know.
Most disturbing videos in the world. Episode 6. This picture contains a list of disturbing videos from the least scary to the most. This will be my scariest series ever. Welcome to Tier 7 because we skipped a couple of them. And honestly today we're gonna skip directly to Tier 10. The first video is titled Funky Town. This video single-handedly could be the worst video the internet has ever had. Now obviously I can't show the video here, but I can tell you everything you need to know about it. And please remember, don't look this up. Trust me. It shows a man, getting executed, in which they remove the man's face all while he's still alive. And lots of other stuff start happening. And in the background of the video, the song Funky Town starts playing. You know this song? Yeah, that one. Make sure to like and follow because I start my brand new series tomorrow.
Those videos, man, where they always have to like break it down and explain. It's always chilling, man, and I take them at their word. I never looked it up because I don't need that in my mind. But the way they break it down with the details, especially about Sebastian on Tank 22, we know, man. Crazy how people can even do that to another human being. Edit, man. You guys, I want to see y'all guys call out the edits, man, down below as well. If y'all guys can spot them out, because I might miss some too. I can correct me, man. We all a community, yo.
This is the disturbing moment. This woman laughed in court after she took this 3-year-old's life in a random attack. On June 3rd, police received numerous phone calls about a stabbing at a grocery store parking lot in Ohio. At around 3 p.m. on this day, 38-year-old Margot Wood was loading groceries into her car while her 3-year-old son Julian sat in his car seat. That's when 32-year-old Bianca Ellis entered the car and began stabbing the little boy. When Margot noticed, she tried to stop the attacker, and as a result, she was also wounded. Julian was then rushed to the hospital where he unfortunately passed away. Now, what's disturbing was that this was a random attack, and after looking at surveillance footage, the attacker was seen following the mother and the child in and out of the grocery store. Then, when Bianca was brought into court, the judge began reading out the indictment, and she was seen smiling and laughing the entire time. And after an assessment was done on Bianca, they're arguing that she has bipolar disorder and had a psychotic break, which explains why she did what she did. And this story only gets crazier. Before this incident, Bianca confessed to another murder in Bakersfield, and she even gave details of what she did with this person's body. She also warned officers that if she wasn't arrested, she was going to murder someone and eat their flesh. But none of this was taken too serious, and she was released from the mental institution, and not long after, she committed this heinous crime.
So, let's talk about the most disturbing animated film ever made that has been banned all over the world. 1992's Midori. Our main character is 12-year-old Midori. After her mother becomes extremely ill, she is tricked into joining a traveling circus. And these are some of the fine people that she is surrounded by every day. The film contains a lot of very explicit scenes of violence and other things towards young Midori. The film is also known for its animal content. When it was originally released, Midori was banned all over the world, including in its own home country of Japan. And I can definitely see why. I'm not kidding when I say this is probably the most graphic, strange, animated film that has probably ever been made. And this is most certainly not a film for a lot of people. It's a film I really don't feel like I can recommend, but there are lots of very interesting discussions around the morality of this film. And if you've seen this film, I'd love to know what you guys think of it.
Hell no, I didn't even know that film existed. It really was banned. All of them. It's always people in those positions, man. Power.
Number 10 is Saddam Hussein. We all remember Saddam. Number 9, Kim Jong-il, who is the uncle and the former leader of Kim Jong-un of North Korea, and he was even worse than Kim Jong-un. Like, even though Kim Jong-un is bad, like we got to step up from Kim Jong-il. I remember reading that he once fed his family to dogs. Number 8 is Genghis Khan, the guy, you know, the Mongolia Chinese wall, the Great Wall of China, forced everybody to do that. Number 7, Heinrich Himmler, one of the right-hand men in the Nazi Party, was just all around evil. Number 6, Pol Pot, terrible man, maybe was one of the most ruthless killers in history. Number 5, Mao Zedong, the terrible emperor of China. Number 4, Osama bin Laden, the fool who committed 9/11 and went in hiding, and then we all forgot about him until Obama was like, we're actually going to go get him now, and I was like, thank God. Number 3, Vlad the Impaler. Vlad the Impaler is the basis for the character of Dracula. His middle name was Dragula, and he was known for impaling his victims on sticks and posing them in front of the castle. Number 2, Joseph Stalin, who was the leader of Russia during World War II, and he was basically one of the most ruthless killers as well. He had concentration camps for the Russians that didn't support him, and millions of people died under him. If you like this list and want more lists about other nonsense, follow me. Leave me a comment with the most evil person in history in your book. Also follow my Instagram and fiance Samantha, who I've tagged. Number 1, I can't even say his name on TikTok, but we all know who it is. Evil Austrian mustache man.
Think twice before you answer the door on Halloween night. On Halloween night in 1984, a pregnant mom named Doreen Herbert heard the doorbell ring. She opened the door to find someone in a wolf mask holding a machete. This was like a scene straight out of a horror movie, and she was viciously slaughtered in front of her 4-year-old daughter. Special attention had been made to harm the fetus as well, and it was found under this chair. Luckily, when the attack started, her daughter hid behind the couch, and then the man in the wolf mask paced around the house looking for her. The man in the mask shouted that if she said anything, he was going to come back and kill her too. Crime scene investigators noticed a trail of blood leading from the house down the sidewalk and across the freeway to a nearby neighborhood. This attack happened shortly after her husband left to go to the store, and he came home just a few minutes after she died. But luckily, officers did their due diligence. Looking into Doreen's past, they found out she had a tumultuous marriage with her ex-husband, Michael Dennis. And they actually had a child that drowned under Doreen's supervision in 1980. 2 years later, this distraught ex sued Doreen for the death of their child but lost in court. And just hours after the murder, the police paid a visit to Michael Dennis. He was calm and collected and gave consent to search, but as he reached out to sign the form, they noticed a gash on his hand. He said he got this injury from carving pumpkins the day before, but they noticed that the blood was still clotting.
Nah.
They began to walk detectives up towards his bedroom and lunged towards the bed. And they were luckily able to tackle him before he grabbed his revolver. And also inside the house, they found blood near the washing machine, and blood was all over his car door handle and steering wheel.
Caught him.
His past girlfriend also said that the previous Halloween, he went to a party wearing a wolf mask, pictured here. Michael Dennis was charged for the death of Doreen and her unborn child. And due to the brutality, he was actually given the death penalty. Michael Dennis had never moved on and hated Doreen for finding love and having another. And I have to say, if you've lost a child, Halloween is probably a really difficult day to look outside and see kids running around everywhere. But that does not excuse his actions. Let me know what case you want me to cover next and follow for more true crime.
It is wild. This is actually happening. Celebrities are now losing thousands of followers in an unprecedented TikTok trend where people are deliberately blocking the rich and famous so that they lose their sponsorships, their brand deals, and ultimately money. And you know what? It's working. So here's how the blockout trend started, and more interestingly, why. This is Hailey Bailey. She's a model and a content creator, and she doesn't know it yet, but she's about to trigger a massive digital revolution against the world's celebrities and herself, all with one video.
Let them eat cake.
But to understand why what she did here caused so much outrage, we need to go back to the 1800s. I'm not even joking, the Queen of France in 1774 has somehow triggered a massive revolution on TikTok in 2024. Marie Antoinette was actually the last queen before the French Revolution, because at a time where the country was in extreme debt and the people were living in poverty and famine, Marie was seen living a lavish lifestyle and spending huge amounts of money on unnecessary things. For example, she was best known for her extreme looks and love for fashion. Her annual clothing budget alone was equivalent to today's $3.6 million. That's $300K a month. But ironically, what she is most remembered for is the time that she was told that the public were starving and they didn't have enough bread to eat, to which she replied, "Let them eat cake." And I say it's ironic because it's believed that she never actually even said this. Regardless, the public's anger grew and led to a revolution and ultimately her execution. So back to 2024 when Hailey Bailey dressed up as Marie Antoinette and used a trending sound saying "let them eat cake" while outside the Met Gala, where tickets cost more than the average down payment for a house. She quickly became the modern Marie Antoinette and triggered the blockout revolution. Now since then, she has apologized and said she didn't know the implications of that quote before she used it. And while the anger started with just her video, with one of the top comments saying "we're giving you the Marie Antoinette experience," it quickly grew to all of the celebrities that attended that event and beyond. The Hunger Games societal disparity became the movement theme, with hundreds of people commenting "watching from District 12." Creators started making videos showing off their own daily celebrity block lists, and the people who joined the trend say that the movement is simple. Just like how the French people's taxes were funding Antoinette's lavish lifestyle while they starved, today the public's attention is often what funds these celebrities' lifestyles. And so people say if they're using this attention money similar to Antoinette on massive unnecessary displays of wealth, or while people around the world struggle and starve, that attention and therefore money will be removed. And that's how and why the block trend started. So the question is, do you agree with this trend, or are people taking it way too...
Actually found a real demon inside of a hole. Watch this. I don't know what she's saying, but she's approaching this hole.
3:33 in the morning.
And what she hears from this hole is freaking insane. There's something in that hole. Yeah. Whatever that is has glowing eyes. She sounds sincerely terrified, honestly.
She is running for her life. Stay weird.
The video at the end is high-key terrifying. This is a brand of Korean eyewear that is called Gentle Monster, and they have the weirdest things ever, but these massive animatronic heads are the things of absolute nightmares. Why are there two of them with their ponytails tied together? That is horrific. This kind of looks like an umbilical cord. These are just like in the store, like a Lens Crafters, but like in Korea. You go in and what does this have to do with glasses? Like, I guess I understand the giant eyeball with the eyebrow piercing kind of has something to do with glasses, but it doesn't even have glasses on. I mean, it's an eyeball, but like, what is the, seriously? They even had like buffaloes in their store. What do buffaloes have to do with eyeglasses? What? Also, damn dude, for free? They had this massive guy in there as well. But these giant heads freak me out something fierce. And having to be in the room with these massive heads, no. This one is of mommy, daddy, and baby, and their creepy little umbilical cords, and I hate them. There's like multiple of these stores. Apparently there's one in Las Vegas, there's one in the Philippines, obviously there's one in South Korea where like the brand is from. Like all of the like mechanics behind the head, that is so incredibly disturbing. Am I the only one scared of giant animatronics? This is not only triggering my megalophobia, but also my animatronic phobia and like my phobia of dolls.
That is weird, bro. Imagine going to the store like that. You bring your kid in, it's gonna scar them for life, man.
If you're still not convinced that there is a glitch in the Matrix or something is going on in our atmosphere, take a look at this. China saw 7 suns at the same time. You heard what I said. 7 suns in the sky at the same time. As a matter of fact, take a look at this video. Look at this. Watch. Count.
Okay.
Look at this. 7.
In a row.
7 suns in their sky in China.
Creepy.
You tell me what's going on. Some experts claim that this is an optical illusion. What are your thoughts? So to recap, along with all the tragic and crazy flooding happening all across the world, 7 suns have appeared in the sky over China. Let me know your thoughts in the comments as to what you think is going on. And as always, I'd love to hear from you.
So it's an illusion.
That 3i Atlas, little alien mothership that they're saying is coming towards Earth, is really just wormwood from the book of Revelation. If you are not familiar with wormwood, it is a star that will fall from heaven, and this star will be called wormwood. And this is Revelation 8, verse 10 and 11. I'm reading from the Bible app Haven, and it says, "And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as if it were a lamp. And it fell unto the third of the rivers, and upon the fountains of the water. And the name of the star is Wormwood. And the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died because of the waters, because they were made bitter." Starting to think that that's exactly what 3i Atlas is. Could 3i Atlas be wormwood? And if it is wormwood, I'm not gonna lie, this is very dramatic of God to make it be this long. However, I think it's either that or it's absolutely nothing, and they're completely just lying to us like they normally do. Or it's that other thing that you're not allowed to say on TikTok for some reason. You know, PBB.
Here's some of this.
What do you guys think of that 3i Atlas, man? I'm just seeing a lot of videos floating around, bro. Could it be actually Project Wormwood? That would throw a wrench in things. I could go deep down that rabbit hole if you guys want a whole video on the 3i Atlas. I can put some clips out there for y'all.
Scariest SCPs out there. SCP-049 is a creature that looks like a typical plague doctor at first glance. But in reality, this attire is part of its body, being permanently fused to its flesh. Its only goal is to rid the world of the disease, which has yet to be explained upon. It chooses patients to operate on, and once you're selected, it's too late. Its touch is fatal, and when you're chosen, it will cut you open and tinker around inside of you with its strange tools and serums. Once you're sewn back up, you will reanimate, but you will never be the same.
Lacking any higher brain functions, you will wander about until you find another human being. You will then go crazy and rip that person apart uncontrollably.
So basically,
100 million red crabs are taking over an Australian island right now. Oh, but the comments from Africans on these videos are wild. You see, every year, millions of these red crabs swarm Christmas Island as they begin their migration from the forest to the ocean to breed. Upon reaching the shores, the male crabs dig out these little burrows for the females, where they then spend the next 2 weeks laying eggs and incubating them. But because they absolutely blanket streets and walkways, residents of this island have to close down entire roads, make sure that they keep their doors closed, and even have to keep garden rakes and leaf blowers with them to prevent crushing the crabs. So while they're trying to keep them safe, how are you guys in the comments saying, let them try this nonsense here in Nigeria? Crabs cannot have this kind of freedom in Ghana, not in Africa. By now, people are fighting over them. Hey, yeah.
Feds is about to run through the NBA. This morning, the feds locked up Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier for having a gambling ring. Mind you, when I saw this shit this morning, I'm thinking they just gambling, playing cards, dice, shit like that. Nope. And that's why I said they're about to run through the NBA. Look at this shit. Listen.
The indictment details specific examples where the defendants profited from illegal gambling and illegal betting on various NBA games, about the performance of players on, among other things, the Charlotte Hornets, the Portland Trail Blazers, the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Toronto Rangers.
Who the Rangers?
Each defendant in the NBA basketball gambling case has been charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud.
I think he meant the Toronto Raptors, but that's neither here nor there. They about to run through the NBA. So just like everybody been saying, the NBA rigged? That's what they trying to say? They done came and locked them up for sports betting, money laundering, wire fraud. See what it is them sports betting apps? Y'all be putting your information in, them niggas is getting mad when everybody hitting at the same damn time. Then you got people sitting out. Listen, Terry Rozier ain't even playing the game that he was supposed to play in last night. He didn't play because of coach's decision. Oh yeah? Ain't looking good. They about to start going back further and further. And what was the other guy name that got locked up for sports? Come on, man. Come on, NBA, y'all not looking good. Shit ain't looking good for basketball, man. For real.
This is crazy.
Seekers, man. When all that news came out, bro, it just probably just solidified everybody's thoughts, man, about how some of these games, bro. You saw proof. It's literally how these games are rigged, bro. They be rigging the system for these bets and crap. Like I said, I've been hearing stories about NBA players and they be playing the game. People be like, you missed a shot, you messed up my parlay and stuff like that. But that was just all that information coming out yesterday. I couldn't even believe it, bro. That was just freaking insane, man. Tell me down below, man, if you guys think that the league is rigged, bro. So people can get these bet payouts.
Do you ever wonder why humans grow beards? We have the ability to grow beards, right?
Yeah.
And some people, they don't grow beard or facial hair at all. Asians, yeah, some Asians. And women specifically, they don't really grow facial hair, right?
Okay.
There's actually a scientific purpose for facial hair and beards in general. It's for hand-to-hand combat. Long time ago, all of the warriors would grow beards. So they did a scientific study. They simulated a bald face, a face with a little bit of stubble, and a face with a full-fledged beard. And they tested it, putting pressure the same amount that a punch could. They found out that the bald face, every single time they simulated the punch, it would break the jaw. When using an unshaven face with a full beard, it only broke 45% of the time. So the theory is, if you can grow a beard, you're probably have an ancestry of warriors or fighters. Look at women. Women don't need to fight because historically, it was usually the men that went into combat. If you don't grow facial hair, it might tell you a little bit about your ancestry.
Google's Gemini AI refuses to go against a 47-year-old Atari game console in chess because it fears that it will lose. Google's Gemini initially boasted about crushing the ancient Atari 2600 chess engine, then dramatically backtracked and admitted it had hallucinated those confident statements. The AI that requires trillions of parameters and massive computational resources suddenly realized it would struggle immensely against a gaming system from 1977 with less memory than a calculator. This happened after the same Atari console had already absolutely rinsed ChatGPT in chess, proving that decades-old specialized technology can demolish modern general-purpose AI. Gemini's final response was pathetically honest. Canceling the match is likely the most time-efficient and sensible decision, basically admitting defeat before even playing. This exposes the fundamental gap between AI marketing claims and actual capabilities, where specialized systems built 47 years ago outperform today's most sophisticated language models. The incident reveals how modern AI can display overconfidence about tasks it cannot actually perform, then recognize its limitations and strategically retreat from challenges. When a console older than most people's parents can scare trillion-parameter AI models into submission, what does that say about the current state of artificial intelligence?
So they just gonna continue to play in our face, right? This is why I don't trust certain shit. Everybody wanna call you crazy when you be seeing doubles. They put it right in your face. Which one is the real John Cena? I believe it's this one, but at the same time, I don't know. It could be this one. My point is, if they wanted to, they can switch the real one out for the fake one. So based off this picture right here, would it be too crazy to think that they out here replacing celebrities like we've been saying for the longest time? No. Case in point. This ain't the only picture, y'all. Go look it up. It's a picture with like 7 different people that look exactly like John Cena. And it just goes to show you, the movie They Clone Tyrone is not too far-fetched. Make sure you follow for more shit like this.
Fallen angel statue discovered in Russia.
What?
This is the creepiest thing I've seen in a good minute. There's these dudes, Russian dudes. They work in a gravel quarry or something, and they're just digging, and they found this ginormous statue of this crazy, evil-looking angel with its like hood down, but like its eyes, and it's these giant wingspan things, and it's like holding a shield, and it was kneeling. It's these dudes standing up beside this statue. Their heads didn't even go past the statue's head, and it was kneeling down. And it looks, the detail on it is like exquisite. Like it looks like an angel or man thing.
Oh, wow.
That was like frozen in time, like it like fell in a concrete bath or something. And so what does that mean?
That's like the start of a scary movie. They're gonna go put it in a lab and they're gonna soak it in like acid or something.
That's a scare. No.
Yeah, that's.
Have you heard of the Terracotta Army?
Yeah.
In China?
Yeah.
Dude, that is crazy.
I wanted to talk about that a long time ago.
Dude.
This is awesome. Somebody was able to film Area 51, and it's not crazy blurry, it's not fake. This is real, it's recent, and I find it totally fascinating. There's a bunch of footage, but check some of this out.
Here you can see some radar, and there's one of those F-16s.
Whoa. Is this real?
Super cool to see one of the Groom Lake F-16s up close like this. I think we might have a camo dude. It looks white. Yeah, that's definitely a white pickup. It just came from the gate. Let's see where this truck is going.
This could be fake. That ain't the real Area 51. It can't be,
Looks
right?
like it's some large metal structures, metal shelters or something over there. One lone Janet flight sat on the tarmac. I settled in for the night and watched it take off.
So even though he didn't seem to capture an alien piloting a flying saucer, he did capture some super interesting stuff. And seeing the Janet Airlines was really cool. I personally found watching this footage completely fascinating. He does have a few parts, so definitely go to his profile. Come back and let me know what you think of it.
You guys think that's real, man? Area 51 would be out all in the public like that for someone to deceive, that's a secret base, man. If you'll be trying to divert our attention, we paying attention to that base, but the true base, who knows, it'll probably never been revealed. It ain't gonna be revealed to the public.
Biggest coincidences in the world. Before Nick and Amy's wedding, they decided to go through Nick's baby photos. And they specifically looked at this image of Nick playing at a beach on vacation. And Amy noticed herself in the background 11 years before they met. A reporter went on the street in the UK asking people if they remember the final round of the 1967 FA Soccer Cup. And the person he chose to interview ended up being the goalie who played in the game. And look how happy he was.
I think I played in it.
Did you?
I was goalkeeper for Liverpool.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's a stroke of luck me meeting you. Yeah. Sorry, can you remind me of your name? Tommy Lawrence.
The two people in this photo look the exact same, but they're not related. The first picture was of Enzo Ferrari. He was a race car driver, and he actually founded the car Ferrari. The other guy was a soccer player named Mesu. But the scariest part is that Enzo died in 1988, which was the same year that Mesu was born.
Man, I ain't know people still ate corn dogs, but 58 million pounds of corn dogs and sausage on the sticks has been recalled due to the wood being in the batter too. Extraneous matter contamination. If y'all got any corn dogs in the crib, check the USDA article on this and see if the dates match, so you won't have extra wood in your mouth choking on sticks. Brands include Jimmy Dean and State Farm, etc. These was packaged through March 17th through September 26th. Hey, look, comment your thoughts on this. Do y'all still eat corn dogs, or do your kids eat it? Like, who is ordering 58 million pounds of this? Let me know. Comment your thoughts right now.
If y'all thought the sky was a backdrop, I need y'all to stop and look again, because the veil is thinning, y'all. There is so much activity going on in the sky right now. The sky is signaling, and it's pulsating, it's flashing. Did anybody see this in Minnesota the other night? Now again, the Bible talks of these times where we will see signs in the sky when there's a major change that's coming upon earth. And look at the sky in Minnesota. Hold on. Y'all thought Minnesota was showing out? Look at what's going on in Delaware. What is happening with the sky? Is God sending us a message of the changes to come? Now, something strange must be going on in Delaware, because my friend looked back and she took out her camera because the sky was purple, and then when she looked up, she saw these things flying up in the sky, y'all. Can y'all see that? Hold on, let me zoom in and show y'all what this is, and y'all can let me know. Look at this. These things were flying around in the sky. Now, you think that they were stars, but check this out. What is this, y'all? What is this? She said it looked like some type of crustacean. You know how they talk about the waters above and the waters below? Well, we are in the waters below, and this is the waters above. She said it looked like some type of crustacean flying up there or swimming around up there. What is that, y'all? That's not a star. Now back to Minnesota. What is going on here? Look at this. This thing is flashing. It's pulsating. It's glitching. Y'all see that?
Wow, I have never seen anything like this before in my life. It's a red sky. There's a major storm coming in. Wow, I have never seen anything like this.
Look at the flashing, y'all. It's going crazy. It's like the Dragon Ball Z episode that we've all been waiting for.
Wow, look at that.
Look at, what is that the sun? Look at the horizon, y'all.
I'll show you this. Over here, and you can see that there's almost a rainbow in the...
There's that rainbow that be everywhere, that dark banded rainbow that be everywhere. When I get a chance, I'm going to sit down and make videos for you guys about the anomalies that's taking place around the sky. Tell me y'all see this rainbow, right? But what is this? What is this dark spherical object that's cloaked in the sky? You guys can clearly see that. And there's another one up here. Y'all can see that sphere up here. What are those? What are they not telling us? And how convenient for NASA to go dark right now when we have all these sky anomalies taking place, y'all. The sky is signaling great changes to come into our world, y'all. Are you guys ready? Let me know that in the comments below, y'all. I'll be telling y'all the shift is here. Let's continue to get it. Look at
this man lost his life after his pet hippo turned on him. Marius Els adopted 5-month-old baby Humphrey and took him to live in his 400-acre farm in South Africa. When Humphrey was a baby, everything was fine, but a lot of people warned Marius how dangerous Humphrey can become when he gets bigger. Marius ignored everyone and treated Humphrey like a pet. He would even ride on his back for fun and showed zero fear of this hippo. But it wasn't long until Humphrey got bigger and he eventually reached 1.2 tons and attacked Marius's nephew and almost killed him. But that's not all. In 2011, Humphrey attacked Marius in front of his family and took his life. This all happened when Marius called Humphrey to eat, and according to Marius's family, Humphrey's demeanor was different on this day, basically showing signs of aggression. Marius believed that his pet hippo would never betray him, so he ignored all these signs. When he continued to call Humphrey out of the water to eat, Humphrey suddenly stormed out and attacked Marius, biting into his body multiple times and then dragging him into the water. And this all happened in front of his family, the same people that warned Marius about Humphrey. What's crazy is that even though hippos look super sweet and cute compared to other wild animals, they actually kill more people each year than any other mammal on this planet. Just something to keep in mind.
They wild animals, man.
The Buenos Aires mysteriously turned red, sparking fears among locals of a toxic spill, according to local reports. Local media say that authorities have collected water samples to investigate the discoloration of the river, which flows into the Rio de la Plata and is near an ecological reserve, according to Reuters. Initial findings from government agencies suggest that the substance may not be toxic, according to Reuters.
Morbid facts.
It's not toxic, so so why is the water red? Maybe it's a sign. It was coming like, back in the old days, but there's something going on, man. That's in Rio too. I'm definitely going to have to freaking check up on that, man. My sense is going off on that one.
Part 509. In 2016, Texas father Daniel Shaver was held up by police after he was seen pointing a pellet gun out of his hotel window. Several officers had rifles pointed at Shaver in the hallway as he attempted to comply with them, but their commands were confusing and contradictory, especially since Shaver was drunk. For example, they told Shaver not to put his hands down for any reason before telling him to start crawling towards them. As Shaver was crawling and begging for his life, he reached back to pull his pants up and was killed instantly by Officer Philip Brailsford, who later claimed he thought Shaver was reaching for a weapon. Brailsford was charged with second-degree murder and found not guilty, since the full unedited footage wasn't released until hours after his acquittal. Brailsford was rehired by the department and reimbursed for all the medical expenses he paid, while seeking treatment for the PTSD he claimed he acquired from the shooting. Because of this, Brailsford was medically retired and now collects a $2,500 pension every month.
Man, that's a chilling story. And that's how, man, me personally, I ain't playing with no freaking BB guns and stuff like that, because people can misinterpret it and a real situation could happen. So I don't play with that stuff. It ain't worth it. You saw firsthand. Trust me, man. You know what this is.
This is what they meant when they said, "Don't talk to strangers." In the early 1900s, a 10-year-old boy was playing in the woods when a tall man appeared and asked if he wanted to come back to his cabin for dinner. Totally caught off guard, the boy reluctantly agrees and begins walking. When they get to the cabin, the boy is relieved when he sees Paul, a family friend, sitting on the porch, so the boy happily goes inside. After they eat, the boy says thank you to the strange tall man, says bye to Paul, and then he leaves. He had only walked a few steps when he sees his family, along with Paul, running up the path towards him, frantically asking if he was okay. Confused, the boy says, "I'm just fine," and he looks at Paul and he's like, "Why didn't you tell them I was with you at the cabin?" And he points over his shoulder. Paul glances over the boy's shoulder and then narrows his eyes and says, "You were kidnapped by a cult 3 days ago. No one's seen you." Terrified, the boy turns around to look at the cabin he just came from, and it's gone. All he sees is a dark forest that stretches for miles.
What the hell?
Scary games you should never play. This is the cat scratch game. The game requires 2 players. Player 1, lie your back on the floor with your head resting on player 2's lap. Player 2 will recite one of these 2 stories while rubbing player 1's temples.
I never play any of these scary games that get suggested.
When player 2 has finished the story, stand up and pull up player 1's shirt. Their back should be covered in red claw marks. Many swear that whatever scratched them was something much more sinister than just a cat.
This is why it's always a bad idea to go to graveyards at night. Urban explorer Frank from Franco TV explored a graveyard in Peru. As he explores the area, he sees a group of people far in the corner. Not knowing what's going on and worried for his safety, he hides in a tomb waiting for them to leave. 30 minutes gone by, they turn off the lights and begin to leave. Scared someone may still be there, Frank waits 30 more minutes. As he makes his way to the tomb, what he finds is disturbing. Frank finds a circle of candles and what looks like a voodoo doll next to a star. He also finds a container with unknown contents. As Frank tries to communicate with the spirits in that area, he hears laughing coming from one of the graves. Worried for his safety, he decides to leave and says he doesn't want any problems or to be followed by anything there. As Frank makes his way out, he sees something horrifying. What looks like a person can be seen peeking at Frank from the corner of the tomb. But when he checks around the tomb, there's no one there.
Somebody was definitely still
Friendly
there.
reminder that if you're ever in Churchill, Canada, it is illegal, if not very frowned upon, to lock your car. The reason is so that if a polar bear comes after you, hiding in someone else's car might be your only option. Not only are polar bears one of the few animals that will actively try to eat humans, since they can track prey from miles away, they'll smell you way before you see them. Remember, if it's brown, get on the ground. If it's black, fight back. Talking about bears. If it's white like an addict's nose, your casket finna be closed.
Okay, stay away from polar bears. Once again, noted. I didn't know there was a law, I guess, where it was that you had to keep your car door open because if we could attack you like that, man. I keep thinking about that meme, bro. What the hell is a polar bear doing in Arlington, Texas?
This is a test to see if you have healthy eyes. If you pass all 5 levels, your vision is perfect.
Let's do
All
it.
you have to do is pick one out of the 10 colors that is different from the rest. Starting off easy, you can clearly see that number 7 is lighter than the rest of them. 97% of people pass this stage, but it's about to get way harder. Okay, let's move on to medium. This one is a little more difficult and will require a little more attention. The correct answer is 2. Level advanced is even harder. Only 30% of people make it past this stage, so really focus and you'll see that the correct answer is 4. Superhuman. This level is really going to test your vision, and I know these look identical, but if you look closely, number 4 is slightly different. And the final level, impossible. 92% of people failed this level, and the answer is 10. Were you right? Comment below.
Oh, man. I tried to pass that test. I think the last one, that's what really got to me, bro. But I basically passed it all up until the last one, man. Did you guys keep up?
Don't even get me started on Laura Karen. That teacher was sexually assaulting a 13-year-old boy since he was 11 years old, got pregnant with his baby, and then wasn't even arrested until the baby was 5. And as of today, she has been released from jail. If you've never heard of Laura Karen, she worked at Middle Township Elementary School. She was a 5th grade teacher, meaning that she primarily worked with 10 to 11-year-old students. And from 2016 to 2020, she was sexually abusing a boy who she had had as a student. She had also had his brother in her class. And obviously it was before this all came out, but he, his brother, and his sister, so 3 siblings, actually went to go live in her home for a period of time. And that was between 2016 and 2020, and that is when things got really bad for that boy. According to his sister, when that boy would go into the bathroom to take a shower, Laura would go into the bathroom and lock the door. Additionally, all of the siblings shared a bedroom in her house. However, in the morning when the 2 other siblings would wake up, they would notice that their brother wasn't there, and their brother was in bed with Laura. She had become friends with the parents of those siblings, and she was actually trusted to be a resource parent. In New Jersey, the term resource parent is a synonym for foster parent. But Laura took that trust and completely violated it. She violated their son, and she managed to get away with it for years until December of 2024. That is when she was arrested. I believe it was December 17th. It was found out because the child that she had was a son who looked a lot like the son who she sexually abused. And he looked a lot like the victim's father, and understandably so. And the victim confirmed to his sister that he was the father. She appeared in court today, Tuesday, January 21st of 2025. The judge has ruled that she can be released as her case continues.
A teacher gave a final exam where students had to draw and achieve a high score in the shortest possible time. While walking around the classroom, the teacher noticed one student drawing in an incredibly surprising and unconventional way. The student used a ruler and 2 pens to make their drawing perfectly identical to the reference image. What do you think about this?
This is how you can get full control over your body. If you're ever feeling really stressed or anxious, I got you. All you have to do is slowly blow on your thumb for 30 seconds like this. This will slow down your heartbeat and calm your nerves so you won't have to worry anymore. Next, if you ever wake up in the morning and your hand or arm has fallen asleep, all you have to do is shake your head and it will quickly go away. But if your leg falls asleep, all you have to do is wiggle your toes and your leg will be back to normal right away. If you're ever sick to your stomach and you want to get feeling better quickly, listen up. Squeeze down your left thumb like this to deactivate your gag reflex so you won't gag. And place your thumb right here on your wrist to get rid of your nausea. Finally, eating peanut butter before you fall asleep at night could change your life. It's scientifically proven that eating peanut butter before you fall asleep can help you fall asleep much faster. And it will also give you insanely vivid dreams. A rare and mysterious illness is currently sweeping through a city in India, leaving patients suddenly paralyzed and unable to control their body. With what began as a child struggling to hold their pencil in January, has now escalated into a full-scale medical emergency. Over 170 reported cases, dozens in intensive care, at least 5 suspected deaths, and even teams from the WHO arriving in Pune to investigate. But here's what makes this illness so terrifying. It has what's referred to as the Russian roulette effect. You see, the bacteria that can trigger the paralysis is everywhere. It's found in contaminated food and water, and most people consume it at some point in their life without even knowing. But for reasons that scientists still don't fully understand yet, only in a small percentage of cases, this bacteria can trigger Guillain-Barré syndrome, which causes the immune system to go rogue, shutting down your body piece by piece. For example, last month, a school teacher noticed that our 6-year-old son couldn't hold his pencil properly, and within days, his legs and arms stopped working. He lost the ability to swallow, speak, and eventually breathe, requiring ventilator support. At that stage, you can think of it like having sleep paralysis while being fully awake. Now, because there is no cure for GBS, early intervention is critical, and that's why authorities have now set up special hospital wards, launched mass water testing, and called in the WHO in efforts to contain the outbreak and prevent more lives being put at risk. As the situation develops, I'll keep you guys updated.
This preacher
keep me up to date.
Paranormal in church. Let's watch it together.
Well, hey everybody, Pastor Aaron here. It's my pleasure just to announce that this Sunday will be open.
Oh! Oh nah.
Okay, we've been trying to do this announcement several times today already, and 3 times that podium back there has fallen over on its own, and it's stable. I mean, it's not wobbly at all.
Leave the church. I would leave.
It's kind of like
I'm hitting the jets.
Wow. That podium has been wobbling. Okay, so we checked the vent. There's a vent there that is not an air duct that has any forced air at all, so it can't be wobbling from that. There's absolutely no breeze in here. You can see by the banner there.
Call Ghostbusters.
No air conditioning. It's these things, they're off. I don't know. So I'm just gonna sit here and watch it for a little bit, and we will see if it does it again.
Oh nah, I'm leaving.
Nothing's moving. That hasn't been moving.
I'm leaving. You see
That's new.
He's still there.
Seriously, nothing else. There's no breeze. It's moving again.
It's time to go.
Oh yeah, I'm out.
Have
I'm
you ever
in the
seen a boarding
jets.
pass that's so big it could double as a billboard? Well, one man's oversized ticket has taken the internet by storm. This hilarious moment was caught on camera in an airport when a guy rolled up to the gate with what might just be the world's most dramatic boarding pass. Of course, it wasn't long before a very confused officer had to step in. While people who saw the huge boarding pass thought it was a joke, the passenger was completely serious. But as for the officer, he was trying his hardest to not crack up while keeping the situation serious. This lady just broke a Guinness World of Record by eating cotton candy. Meet Leia Shuckkeever, a speed eater extraordinaire who just devoured an insane amount of cotton candy in only 60 seconds, shattering the Guinness World Record. But the best part? When she was presented with the Grinchy treat, she had one simple question. Why is it green? David Wilson, the adjudicator, couldn't help but respond with a smile and said, "It's quite Grinchy."
That can't be lost. Why is it green? It's quite Grinchy. It is quite Grinchy.
To break the record, Leia had to demolish at least 45 grams of this sticky sweet green goo in under a minute. And did she? Of course she did, leaving her with sticky fingers and a sticky face. But Leia isn't just about cotton candy. She's also set records for inhaling 19 chicken nuggets in a minute and 10 Jolly Donuts in 3 minutes.
We now actually know what happens when we die. In some of the biggest news of the century, we've now got evidence suggesting that your life carries on after you die, and it gets a lot crazier than that. Make sure you share this video with your friends and family because you don't want to miss this. So an old woman was passing away, and as she died, they had her hooked up to a machine which was monitoring her brain. Now what scientists got from these scans after she passed away was these photos which don't look like much right now. But what these show is that a part of the brain, specifically the part of the brain that processes memories and experiences, was still active after death for around 8 minutes. And this is crazy because years ago I made a video saying about the 8 minutes after death and how your brain is still active. They did tests before on a man who died and found similar things, but nothing as concrete as this. As I say, from these scans, it showed that the brain was still active for around 8 minutes after this woman passed away. And specifically that she was processing memories, i.e. her life, flashing before her eyes, the common term you've probably heard. So this suggests that when you pass away, your life does flash before your eyes. You get memory flashbacks and maybe relive parts of your life. It also links into the theory I've spoken about before and many people have said. Think about when you have a dream. Sometimes dreams can feel really real and time's different, time dilation of course. Sometimes you'll have a dream, it feels like an hour, but you wake up and it's been about 2 minutes. Well, the same might be happening in this 8 minutes after death. Reliving memories, what feels like days, weeks, but it's only in the 8 minutes. Or maybe even like a lucid dream, creating some sort of new reality. So what's to say you're not dead right now in that 8 minutes, and this is all just a figment of your imagination.
What are the chances of two rivers?
That brings up a good point, man, especially at the end. That's like the simulation theory. That's what I got. But life, we heard before, you know, like your life flashed before your eyes. Guess there's some truth to that. We learning today.
2,000 miles apart, mysteriously turning blood red at the same time. And we don't know the cause for either. Worried residents in both Lima, Peru and Buenos Aires, Argentina have shared footage online reporting strong odors accompanying the discoloration. One local described the scene saying, "It looks like a stream of blood. We have never seen it like this." Now, while we don't know for sure what's caused either yet, I wouldn't go as far as saying it's a scene from a biblical prophecy. I'll just leave that there for a second. Rather, in Peru, environmental experts believe that it could be caused by pollutants discharged from mines and drainage pipes flowing into the river. Despite this, local water supplier, Sidapal, assured the public that the water is still safe to drink. And they better be bloody right, because this river is one of the country's most important water sources. And then for the river in Argentina, authorities suspect the presence of aniline, which is a toxic substance used in dyes, and they believe that it could have been dumped there by local companies. But then again, if Jesus did want to come back, it's not a bad time.
Those freaking two rivers turn red connected.
Susan Lewis and her daughter Jamie moved into a new home in Southern California, and shortly after moving in, Susan's new boyfriend Matt, he moved in as well. Also, Matt had a daughter named Marie, who was the same age as Jamie. A few weeks after moving in, Susan goes into the kitchen and she sees on the counter that a peanut butter jar had its lid off and had been turned on its side. Peanut butter seemed to be running out of the jar like it had been melted. So she figures one of the kids must have come in here and for whatever reason, microwaved the peanut butter and then dumped it on the counter. And Jamie would say that she literally laughed at her mom, like, why would I do that? And Marie too is like, no, I didn't touch the peanut butter. And all four of them spend the rest of the day goofing around outside near the pool. Later that day, they find that there have been cans that you would keep in your pantry, like canned food, stacked on each of the steps leading upstairs. They also find that there have been random objects placed all over the house in strange patterns. Hairbrushes arranged in a star pattern on the counter. They open the microwave and find peanut butter jars and other random canned foods and stuffed animals from the kids' rooms in the microwave. The cleaning materials underneath the sink had been pulled out and arranged in a height line from shortest to tallest. They think that someone's invaded their house, so they run back out again, and no one's come near their property, and ultimately just kind of moved on. In the last couple of weeks that they ever stayed at this house, because they would leave, two major events occurred. The first one happened when Marie was home alone. She's sitting in the living room watching TV, and at some point the TV starts turning off and on. And the TV finally just turns off. She can't get it on. She reaches for the remote. The remote flies off the table as all the pictures on the walls just start one by one falling off the wall. She takes her camera in her hand and kind of turns it and just starts taking pictures of the room. There are these weird orbs of light that are very clearly in the room with her. The second major event that occurred in those final 2 weeks, Jamie was in her room and she starts hearing pounding on her door. She started filming this pounding on her door.
Seen this firsthand.
And so she didn't open the door, and she went back onto her bed, and she just sat there in the fetal position for 3 hours, listening to something smashing nonstop into the door. She opens the door, and there's no one there. But the door on the outside, where the knocking had been happening, there's this huge dent and divot in the door. She sees that now there is a frying pan sitting in the hall that has a toilet paper roll completely on fire. Grabs a sweatshirt and she smothers the fire. And she goes outside, defeated, and just sits on the front steps of her house. Jamie explains what happens, and that was it. And so they barely packed up and they left that house. It didn't sell. Susan literally went bankrupt. And soon after they left the neighborhood, their neighbors left the neighborhood, and 5 other neighbors in their immediate vicinity all left. All of the houses did not sell. They are all vacant.
Trump's inauguration. Before it even started, both pro and anti-Trump demonstrations kicked off in Washington, with one side even bringing a guillotine. All the guests started to arrive, which included the likes of Shou Chew, Joe Rogan, Tim Cook, Jeffrey Bezos, Obama, without Michelle, the Paul brothers, Conor McGregor, Senator John Fetterman, who casually turns up in a hoodie and gym shorts in the middle of winter, and of course, Zuck, who got caught in 8K, 120 FPS. They said bro was looking at Silicon Valley. Oh, and while the inauguration in the United States was beginning, so too was the one in Nigeria. While waiting for the event to begin, Elon was either, I don't know, rebooting or sending out a tweet with his Neuralink. This was Melania's POV for the entire day. And when it was time for everyone to take their seats, Theo Von's collapsed. After which he said, J.D. Vance was sworn in as the vice president with his right hand up and his left hand on the Bible. And then when it was Donald Trump's turn, he only put his right hand up. So he either forgot or just didn't put his left hand on the Bible as is customary. And after, once it became official, Trump then gives his speech where he says a number of things like the golden age of America begins right now, that as of today, the official policy of the United States government is that there's only 2 genders, that America will plant their flag on Mars, that they will drill baby drill, take back the Panama Canal, push for a colorblind merit-based society, and rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Once the inauguration after party began, we got Mike Tyson on Jake Paul's shoulders, Elon Musk sending the internet into a frenzy after doing this. We got Trump dancing with a sword, Trump and Elon moving their body to music. Oh, and hyper-realistic footage of what Barron Trump looked like all day. Trump then went on to sign a huge number of executive orders, which I will go through in a part 2 in a couple of hours.
What do you guys think, man, of all the info or stuff that went down at Trump's inauguration? Of course, man, he had the freaking world class of billionaires there. I heard it was like all the billionaires are there, man. The freaking net worth, like altogether, was like 80-something billion, bro. More than the entire world. And you know what went on when Musk sent the freaking internet to a frenzy. What do you guys think?
Beat a 90-year-old to death because she yelled at him. On October 11th of 2014, 10-year-old Tristan Kurilla visited his grandfather Anthony Rubinski in his home in Tyler Hill, Pennsylvania. Tyler planned to spend the day with his grandfather while his mother was at work. His grandfather Anthony was not the only one living in that home. He also took care of a 90-year-old woman named Helen Novick. Just after 10 a.m., Tristan had entered Helen's room without permission to ask her a question, and because of that, she scolded him. Tristan was not happy with this, so he grabbed a wooden cane and held it against her neck for several minutes, then punched her in the throat 5 times as well as the stomach. This caused swelling and hemorrhaging to her throat, which caused her to die. At around 10:30 a.m., Tristan told his grandfather that he could see blood coming out of Helen's mouth. Anthony checked on Helen, but he couldn't find any blood. She just seemed scared, and her breathing was labored. Anthony asked if she was okay and if she wanted to go to the hospital, but she said that she was fine and she didn't need to go to the hospital. Tristan denied hurting Helen, but his grandfather told him to stay in the other room away from her. Around 11 a.m., Anthony went to go check on Helen, but she was unresponsive. Tristan ended up admitting to him that he had punched her and placed the cane around her neck, so he called 911 to report her death, and she was transported to the county morgue. At 3:20 p.m., Tristan's mother, Martha, had walked into the police station to tell them that her son had unalived Helen. She and Tristan spoke to a state trooper, and she told him that her son had ADHD and ODD and had violent behavioral problems. Tristan had admitted to that state trooper that he did unalive Helen, but he didn't mean to, he just wanted to hurt her. On October 13th, Helen's autopsy results came back and revealed that her cause of death was blunt force trauma and the manner of death was homicide. The very next day, police charged Tristan as an adult with murder. The case was later transferred to a juvenile court, and he has to stay in a juvenile facility until his 21st birthday.
Word
worst ways people have died. In 2008, 17-year-old Asia LaShawn Ferguson was riding the Batman ride at the Six Flags amusement park when his hat flew off his head. After getting off the ride, he scaled 2 fences and entered a restricted area in an attempt to retrieve his hat. As he reached his hat, the Batman ride came barreling towards him at 50 miles per hour and ended up decapitating him instantly. Next, in 2013, 22-year-old Kyle Lee Stocking and his 5 friends saw a rope swing stunt on YouTube and wanted to recreate it. Everything was fine, but there was one fatal thing that they didn't check properly. The length of the rope was longer than the drop down, so when Kyle jumped, he plummeted straight into the ground, killing him instantly.
Ooh, man, people need to be careful, man, trying to recreate these YouTube stunts, man. You gotta understand, like, bro, behind the camera you can edit, do all sorts of things, so you don't know if it's real or not.
Hell in Different Religions, Part 2. Buddhism. In Buddhism, after you die, you can be reborn into one of the 6 realms of reincarnation. Which realm you'll be put into depends on your actions in your previous life. The lowest realm possible is the realm of Naraka, which is hell. Now, there are different Narakas you can be put into, it just depends on how bad you were in your previous life. Each of these Narakas having vastly different punishments, and the climates in the different Narakas can range from incredibly cold to boiling hot. But the time spent in Naraka is never eternal. Once you've served your punishment, you'll be reborn once again. But the time one does spend in Naraka can be hundreds of millions of years, or well beyond that.
100 million years in hell?
This man served 17 years in prison after being mistaken for someone that looked just like him. In 1999, Richard Jones was falsely accused and imprisoned for a robbery that happened at a Walmart in Kansas. A robber tried to snatch a purse from a woman in a parking lot, but this man was not Richard. It was a man who looked just like him and had a similar name as Richard. The person that they should have been looking for was this man named Ricky Amos. But unfortunately, an eyewitness at the Walmart identified Richard as the culprit and testified against him in court. Even though Richard had an alibi at the time of the crime, it wasn't enough evidence and he was put behind bars for a 19-year sentence. Richard tried to appeal, but nothing ever came out of it. Now, 16 years later, in 2015, other inmates began telling Richard that there was another inmate who looked just like him. Richard had a gut feeling, so he contacted his attorney, and when they put Richard and Ricky side by side, it was clear that they were identical and they might have made a mistake. 17 years later, Richard was finally released from prison when the witnesses said that they could barely tell the difference between the 2 men. After his release, Richard received a $1 million settlement by the state.
Urban legends that ended up being real, part 28.
The Dark Watchers. They are most commonly spotted in California. They are near the steep cliffs of Big Sur. They are described as shadowy figures that watch from a distance. One encounter comes from a lady named Clara Jenkins. She was a hiker who ventured into the hills alone in the early 2000s. She was determined to find the perfect spot to watch the sunset over the Pacific Ocean. She had hiked this trail many times before and thought little of the stories, but this time something was different. As she climbed a narrow path to reach the peak, she saw a tall, dark figure standing motionless ahead of her. She called out, but the figure didn't respond. The moment she tried to step toward the figure, a rush of wind blew through the trees and the figure was gone. Another story comes from 1982 when a local rancher named Thomas Holloway was working late into the evening, repairing a fence near the base of a ridge when he noticed something strange in the distance. Standing on the crest of the hill was a figure, tall and unmoving, staring down at him. Holloway, having grown up in the area, was no stranger to the folklore, but this was the first time he had seen the Watchers up close. That night, Holloway's dog disappeared without a trace. The next morning, he found strange markings around his property, deep scratches in the earth as if something had dragged itself across the ground.
These paintings are much more disturbing than they appear. This painting shows George Bush throwing a paper airplane at 2 Jenga towers that are knocked over. It clearly represents Bush's involvement in 9/11. But what's even scarier is that exact painting was found in Jeffrey Epstein's living room, who used to be friends with Bush. These are a series of paintings created by artist Louis Wayne back in the 1900s. They capture his slow descent into increasingly worse skin.
Here are 3 real ways to survive encountering your doppelganger. According to ancient mythology, doppelgangers are malicious entities that look and act exactly like us and seek to replace us in our own lives. The first thing you'll want to do to avoid having a run-in with your evil twin is to destroy or get rid of all of the mirrors in your possession. One of the most common tricks that a doppelganger will use to try and infiltrate a person's home is to impersonate their reflection, since they are capable of entering the mirror world. Unfortunately, you can't get rid of all of your reflective surfaces, but you don't have to make it easy for them. If you really need a mirror, buy one that's too small to crawl through. Secondly, if possible, you're going to want to try and build a very close relationship with the people around you, especially your family, as they are the people who are exposed to you the most. That way, when your doppelganger does find you, they'll be able to tell the difference and hopefully give you some forewarning. And above all, if you suspect that your doppelganger has located you, you're going to need to pay very close attention to your surroundings. Don't write off any details, no matter how small they may seem. If something feels off or out of place, they may already be inside. Comment if you think that you could outsmart your doppelganger and follow for more.
Hey, my family knows me. I can outsmart that doppelganger.
He must have been out of her head. Here it is.
Definitely saw something peeking out behind that corner. I don't know if that's added.
You won't believe blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 22. In the 18th century, you could bring your cat or dog to the London Zoo and actually pay your admission by feeding it to the lions. Bus seats are specifically designed so you can't tell how dirty they really are. When an octopus reproduces, it removes its penis and throws it at the female so she can impregnate herself, and then he grows back another one. Oysters are actually alive when they're served. They don't die until you eat them. Live chat support agents can see what you type before they send it so they can reply quicker. Spider rain, yes, you heard me right, is a real and naturally occurring phenomenon.
A nurse put this dying baby beside her twin sister to say goodbye, but it's what happens after that will make you cry. Twin sisters Kyrie and Brielle Jackson were born in Massachusetts in 1995. They were born 2 months early, so they were struggling to breathe and stay alive. So they were put in separate incubators to make sure they would stay alive. As the days passed, Kyrie's condition got better while Brielle's got worse. She was turning blue and was just barely alive. Brielle was dying and the nurse was doing everything she could to help her, but it wasn't working. A few days later, the nurse decided it was finally time to let go. So she put Brielle beside Kyrie to say one last goodbye. But as she felt the presence of her twin sister, something amazing happened. The nurse couldn't believe it. Brielle began to breathe normally again and made a full recovery. This is Kyrie and Brielle today, happy and healthy.
That shows, I guess, the powerful bond of a sibling. That energy. As soon as he put her sibling next to her, man, she just immediately starting to get better. Those bonds are important. They're lifesavers. We just learned.
This is why you need to be careful with dating apps. On November 15th, 2017, 24-year-old Sydney Louvre decided to meet Bailey Boswell in person after speaking on Tinder for a few days. For their first date, Bailey invited Sydney to come over to her apartment that she shared with her boyfriend Aubrey Trail. 24 minutes after Sydney arrived to the apartment, her phone was turned off and Bailey and her boyfriend Aubrey murdered her and chopped her body into 13 pieces using a saw. This attack was planned by the couple for a while, and there's even surveillance footage of them going into Home Depot and buying the saw and cleaning supplies. They then scattered Sydney's remains along the roads in Clay County, Nebraska, and it was found 3 weeks later. Investigators later found out that the couple talked about gaining power by committing murders and making videos of them torturing people. At the end of it, Bailey was sentenced to life in prison and Aubrey was sentenced to death.
Be careful of those dating apps, man. Don't try to link up too soon.
We're not alone. Part 2. These are fossils recently discovered in Egypt, and what they show is terrifying. You can see when the fossils are placed together, they completely dwarf this human.
What you're seeing is an ancient Egyptian demon of chaos called Apep.
Hello, my friend. What you're actually showing are whale fossils. Discovered in a place in Egypt called Wadi al-Har, meaning Valley of Whales. Millions of years ago, this place was underwater, and so there's a huge concentration of whale fossils as well as the fossils of other creatures like sharks and turtles. Fossils in this location started being discovered about 120 years ago. But yeah, not quite an ancient Egyptian demon of chaos.
It's a whale fossil. He exposes the truth, man. I like him. Need more people like that, man. But that whale fossil was freaking, I mean, huge. Goes to show you the massive scale.
Don't watch this at night, you've been warned. This is the story of a video game called Sad Satan. This game is thought to have originated on the dark web. In the original game, supposedly found on the dark web, you walk down a hallway while horrifying images are shown to you. These images allegedly include things like CP, mutilated corpses, and other snuff content, and apparently even playing the original version of the game would destroy your computer because of all the viruses that it had attached to it. Now, nobody has found the original version of the game, and people aren't even sure it exists. But there is a, quote, clean version of the game that you can actually go and watch gameplay for.
Hell no. The title of that game is a
This
no.
mom with a giant belly thinks she's having twins, but then the doctors make a shocking discovery. Mike and Hannah were trying to have kids for so long, and after years of failing, her pregnancy test finally showed positive. Her belly was growing really fast, and after the first ultrasound, it turns out she was having twins. The couple was really happy all throughout the pregnancy until she was about to give birth. But a couple weeks before the babies were due, her belly really started hurting and her water broke. She was immediately rushed to the hospital where doctors made a shocking discovery. Before I tell you, do you want to get paid to literally just walk? Well, I found this app that pays you for every step you take. And today, I've already made 100 speckles. Press the link in my bio if you want to get paid too. When the doctors performed the C-section, it turns out she wasn't carrying twins, but she was actually carrying quadruplets. Mike and Hannah were so happy to be parents to 4 beautiful babies.
These are just some
quadruplets? And they didn't catch that? Ooh. Imagine that. The body's very mysterious.
of the major changes for America that Trump made official yesterday. He signed an executive order reinstating the death penalty for any illegal migrant who commits a capital crime and anyone convicted of murdering a law enforcement officer. He declared a national border emergency, halting all illegal entry immediately, which also paves the way for U.S. troops to be sent to the southern border. He delayed the TikTok ban by 75 days. He ordered 2 name changes, the Gulf of America and Alaska's Mount Denali to Mount McKinley. He officially signed Doge into existence, which is the new department led by Elon to cut government spending. He signed a mandate where all federal workers must work in the office, saying that over half of the 2 million federal employees either work regularly from home or are fully remote. He pardoned about 1,500 defendants charged in the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. He signed an order to restore freedom of speech in America and end government censorship. He reversed 78 Biden administration regulations, including pausing foreign aid, reversing the acceptance of gender identity, now only recognizing 2 genders, and the other is to do with the pandemic, and I can't even say it on here, otherwise the video will get censored. Go to my YouTube for that. He's removing America from the World Health Organization in 12 months, saying that they are ripping off the country and the United States will stop all financial contributions to their work. He withdrew America from the Paris Climate Agreement for the 2nd time, calling it an unfair, one-sided ripoff. I mean, that was just part of a much broader effort to roll back climate policy, because he also declared a national energy state of emergency, promising to fill up oil reserves and drill baby drill, and also cut off climate-related funding, which was approved under the Biden administration. And all of that was day one. So the question is, does this excite or scare you?
For hundreds
What
of
does it
years,
do?
people in California have reported seeing these tall, dark figures standing on tops of mountains watching over people. These cloaked figures are called Dark Watchers. Most people see these figures and notice how tall they actually are. These guys mainly show up in the afternoon. Like it says in their name, these guys mainly just watch over people from a distance. These guys have been here for hundreds of years. Even the Spanish reported seeing them in the 1700s. The Spanish had a name for them. They called them Los Vigilantes Oscuros. When you translate that to English, they're called the Dark Watchers. So you might be asking, what do these guys even do? Well, like it says in the name, they mainly just watch. They don't attack hikers, they just stand there. People say that they are bad omens, and I don't know if I agree with that. While they're harmless, it's still kind of creepy knowing that these guys are just watching over you. What's even weirder is that if you try to go near it, they just completely vanish.
Imagine somebody just staring at you, not saying a word. That's
So it looks
very
like I might have
creepy.
been wrong about the Pooniverse all along. When it was first initially announced, I thought the Pooniverse had to do with all of these characters fighting one equal being or just unaliving people in general. I didn't know they were going to be fighting each other in some gauntlet-style horror movie. This photo was released yesterday, with the caption, "Place your bets," with Winnie the Pooh looking at Peter Pan. Of course from Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2, and Peter Pan from Peter Pan Neverland Nightmare, with the title, Pooniverse, Monsters Assemble. Now look, I could be completely looking at this wrong, but it looks like these two are either A, going to be teaming up, or B, they're going to be scrapping. Their universes may be colliding. So on one hand, you have all of the characters from Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2, Tigger, Piglet, Owl, and of course Winnie the Pooh, versus everybody over in Peter Pan Neverland Nightmares universe, which if you haven't seen the movie, you have Tinkerbell, Peter Pan of course, and Captain Hook. For some reason those odds don't make sense. You also have to take into account other characters that are going to be releasing later this year, with Bambi the Reckoning. Bambi's going to be in on that too. And finally Pinocchio Unstrung. Now we also got this list that was recently released. Some other movies that are going to be coming out. Maybe not this year, but in the universe itself. Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 3, Awakening Sleeping Beauty, Alice and the Mad Hatter, and Snow White Returns. All from this picture, it looks like they're going to be fighting. Who are you putting your money on?
This is gonna be one big battle royale, what it seems like. I can't believe they made a cinematic universe out of that. It'd be one thing if it was actually like good legit, but people say those movies are horrible, bro, so. Man. People try to make a
I
cinematic
can sit with
universe.
her daughter for hours, comforting her in her grave.
This is why you should always lock your doors. A man in Venezuela was woken up in the dead of night to a strange haunting whistle. At first, he thought it was his mind playing tricks, but then he heard it again. Dragging footsteps echoed through the silence, creeping towards his room. But as whoever's outside arrives at the door, this happens. Something tries to get inside. The man believes he was visited by El Silbón, a wandering spirit of death from Venezuelan folklore, known to enter homes with open doors. The further it sounds, the closer he is.
What happened to Jelani Day? 25-year-old Jelani Day was a grad student at the Illinois State University. On August 24th of 2021, Jelani was seen on campus security footage leaving abruptly after being on the phone. The car that Jelani would drive was a white Chrysler 300, and it was found 2 days later near a wooded area near the Illinois Valley YMCA, and it was about an hour north of the university. Inside of the car, they found the clothes that he was wearing, and immediately this raised suspicions of foul play. Just 9 days later, after his car was located, Jelani's body surfaced in the Illinois River. The coroner ruled his death as drowning, as there were no signs of injury or intoxication. However, Jelani's mother states that her son was an avid swimmer who would not have drowned himself. A second independent autopsy was done, and it revealed that Jelani's body parts and organs were missing, and some were described as mush and liquefied. About 6 weeks after Jelani's body was found in the river, a man who pulled over on I-55 noticed his shattered iPhone on the road. Police records show that Jelani's phone was turned off around 9:21 p.m. after he was seen at a local dispensary. His car was then captured on video driving away before the phone was tossed out onto I-55. Police claim they recovered 23 chat conversations, 17 messages, and 6 numbers of interest. Despite all of this information, authorities claim that there's no evidence stating that someone was with Jelani when he went missing or at the scene where he was found. As of right now, this case remains unsolved. Someone out there knows something, and for the sake of Jelani, I truly hope he gets the justice that he deserves.
Now that
That's just for
the
Jelani.
most terrifying character in the Pooniverse as of right now. All of the characters from Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. Now, unfortunately, I can't show you the picture of Tigger, but you of course have Winnie the Pooh, Piglet, the Owl, and Tigger. Now, everybody thought Piglet was unalived in the second movie. Coming to find out, he is not and can regenerate. Kind of like Winnie the Pooh, because we all thought, and Christopher Robin thought, bro was done for. Of course, at the end of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. Coming to find out that he is still alive, and so is Piglet. But I'm gonna be honest, Owl has acid breath, and of course can fly because he's an owl, and Tigger is just devious. We also have the characters from the newest release of Peter Pan Neverland Nightmare. being Peter Pan, Tinkerbell, and of course Captain Hook. Now I'll be honest, the scariest one out of all of them is probably Captain Hook. We didn't see much of him in the movie, but when we did, bro was catching bodies. I guess you can also factor in Peter Pan because of the fact that he thinks he's doing something good by sending those kids to Neverland. And then you have the two characters who still don't have movies yet but are going to be releasing later this year, being Bambi from Bambi and the Reckoning, and Pinocchio from Pinocchio Unstrung. I'm gonna be honest, out of this whole entire list, who do I fear the most? I'm gonna go with Tigger. If you've seen Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2, you know bro was devious. Things he was saying, it was giving Art the Clown. But a close second is probably Peter Pan, because he can just justify whatever he's doing in his own head and make him think that he's right. Like and follow for more, because we're back.
Who would you guys go against in the Pooh universe, man? I think I would go against Winnie the Pooh. I'll take my chances with him. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're true seekers seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support. Make sure you guys leave a thumbs up in this video. Comment down below as well. Also hit the post notification bell so you always get notified when I upload my next video. You guys are going to catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.